Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. It is Rick Kamla with our creator, Dr. X, aka Dr. Phil McDonald, top radiologist in the United States of America, Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, TSN correspondent, A.M. Pfeffer, author, actor, anchor, businessman, holding it down in our LA studios. He's an actor as well. I think that's on his resume as well. Dennis Scott, aka 3D 3-point pioneer. He just got a new gig. We're all excited for him. He's going to be on ACC Network this year, of course. The splasher from Georgia Tech, perfect fit. He's involved in some of the broadcast meetings that they have as a ramp up to their upcoming season. We expect him to drop in at some point in this episode, and we look forward to that. Guys, let's dive right in with I think we're all tired today, right? All right. I was and guys, I'm going to take you into my living room, which is right here. Did anybody watch or try to watch Game 3 of the World Series? I made it until, and I sent out a tweet at about 2 a.m. Hey, is anybody? And I fell asleep like 15 minutes later, right? I made it till the 16th inning, fell asleep around 2:20 a.m. Woke up, guys. The post-game show rollout is, I missed the whole thing, right? And I see all the celebration and stuff. Go to Twitter. Oh, Freddie Freeman did it again, just like last year. Walk off in the bottom of the 18th inning. It is the tied for the longest World Series game of all time. Shohei Ohtani reached base 9 times. I mean, this was an absolutely insane baseball game. And Dwight, I want to go to you first here. On the Toronto side, I know you're up there in Canada repping. This ain't over yet. Y'all are right here in this heavyweight fight, but to lose a double game like that, I presume you're cheering pretty hardcore for the Blue Jays right now, right?
You know what? I'm not really cheering for the Blue Jays. I am from Montreal, born and raised. I'm a Montreal Expos fan, but yes, I do identify with the Blue Jays because they are here in our home country of Canada. But I'm just a baseball fan in general. I played baseball for 10 years growing up. Also played hockey for 10 years. I know that I'm known for my basketball career, but I did play all three of these sports, and I'm just fascinated by playoff baseball. And what I saw last night, 2 games basically is what we saw last night. Just the environment, the atmosphere, the intensity, the nerve wracking of every pitch being so important. And I stayed up until the final pitch, the home
Wow.
run by Freddie Freeman, and you can tell as the game went on, Freddie Freeman's at bats got better and better. His hits got closer and closer to the wall until he finally got over the wall in the bottom of the 18th inning. But to sit here and see how intense, and baseball players you love to use the word grinding it out. That's what they did. They grinded it out last night. Both teams were at their best. We got to give it up for Will Klein, who hadn't pitched more than 30 pitches in any appearance, I believe, in his career. And to go over 70, to pitch 4 amazing innings, and to give his team, Freddie Freeman in particular, the opportunity to hit the home run and to give the Dodgers a 2 games to 1 lead in this epic World Series. I think it's great. It's great for baseball. I know it's bringing in the casual fan. I'm looking forward to Game 4 tonight. Of course, looking forward to see how the great Shohei Ohtani, who did something yesterday in 1 game, who most players would be named MVP if he did it for an entire series. That's how great this guy is. Now he had to go to bed last night, get up, and now motivate himself to be the Game 4 starting pitcher. That's why I have him as the greatest baseball player of all time. I've had people come at me because of my statement on social media, but I will stand by it. Anybody who can pitch, hit, and run at an elite level in the same sport when it's not normal to do that, you've got my vote as the best player of all time. I look forward to this. It's just an added drama. Of course, being up here in Canada, cheering somewhat for the Toronto Blue Jays, I am definitely interested. I'm intrigued, and I want to see which team can somewhat recover from a 6 hour and 39-minute baseball game the
Hmm.
next day. It's going to be tough, but we'll see which team comes out on top tonight.
AM, you're out in LA holding this down. Are you a Dodgers fan? And take us into your view on this, and then Dr. X will get you cranked up here on this phenomenal Game 3.
Yeah.
Grew up a Yankees fan my whole life, so I bleed the pinstripes, and that's never going to change. But being in LA, if you got to give a national team, yes. I mean, being here 25 years in Los Angeles, I'm absolutely a Dodger fan. It's hard not to fall in love with this team over the last decade, especially. So yes, I'm definitely a fan. I was excited that they won. Let's break this down a couple different ways. First of all, let's think of the lore. Lasorda, Gibson, certainly Hershiser, right? And going all the way back to the immortal Jackie Robinson, who played his entire career for the Brooklyn Dodgers, but he is from the LA area, went to UCLA. These are the names you remember. You can add Freddie Freeman to the list now, man. I mean, come on. Doing what he did last year and now this year, he just showed up. I love this guy. As far as Ohtani's concerned, 9 times on base last night. 9, and now you've got to pitch again tonight. Wow, that's unbelievable. But speaking of Shohei, I just want to think, and I want to talk to the youth, if anybody's watching a little bit younger than us right now. I think it's important that if you watch sports, if you love sports, you got to think about this, okay? This is the reason you watch. This is alien athletics out of this guy, not just from what he did last night, but take you back to October 17th, okay? Never forget that day. And you know, look, we're talking a little over a week ago, right? Where were you on that day? Mark it down. Go back and mark your calendars, because it's something you want to think about 5, 10, 15, 25 years from now. Tell your kids about, your grandchildren about. It was that special what he did when he had 10 strikeouts over 6 shutout innings and 3 home runs and propelled his team personally, took care of business and brought him to the World Series. This is the stuff of legends. That game, I've thought about that game every day since. I'm going to think about that game for months, even after the season ends. I know where I was that day. I think everybody should absolutely know in that time frame where they were, whether you watched the game or didn't. Go back and watch the game. Find it on streaming. It's that important. He's that good.
Dr. X, 18-inning ball game, 6.5 hours. Did you have it on? Was it on in the background? Did you make it all the way to the end? Take us into your living room on this.
Well, I'm currently, I'm bi-coastal, so I'm currently in New York, in Hudson Yards behind me. But ultimately, I'm technically, the Dodgers are my second team. And the excuse I make for them being my second team, especially after they beat the Yankees last year, is that the Dodgers were a Brooklyn franchise, and also the history of Jackie Robinson is great. So yeah, the Dodgers are my second team. But when I rock the Dodgers gear, it has to say something about Brooklyn, or it has to say something about Jackie Robinson. But I wasn't up, but I was working. As you know, I'm a physician, and I got a call. What's funny is I woke up and then I had a call I had to do at like 2:30 a.m. And then I didn't know this game was going on for technically 2 games for 6 hours and 39 minutes. But in retrospect, I'm like, it's kind of funny that's when I woke. If I had just turned on the TV, it would have broke my sleep pretty bad. But if I was in LA, that's nothing. That's like what? It was like 11:45. What was it, AM? It's like 11:45. So that's not bad for the people in LA. But for that pivotal game 4, it's going to be very interesting, as Dwight said, to see who recovers best. Who's going to win this game, and whoever wins this game will likely win the series. So I'll be tuned in definitely tonight.
Great points right there. Shohei's not going to be hitting tonight. He will only be pitching tonight. Okay. He had hits, including 2 home runs in his first 4 at-bats last night, and then they walked him. They gave him the Barry Bonds treatment, like, dude, we're not pitching to you, okay? We can't pitch to you. We could pitch at your toes. We could pitch at your forehead. You're going to crank it out of the yard. You're just, Dwight, you should not have to defend that take against anybody, okay? If anybody is hitting you with, how could you say Shohei's the best player of all time? Here's the thing. He does not have the counting stats, right, to officially be the best baseball player of all time. Hasn't played long enough yet. However, okay, I'm a historian. I'm huge with counting stats. I'm huge with ranking resumes and the top 10 basketball players all time, all that kind of stuff. There are some guys that are just so freaking good, and it's so obvious that you got to give them their flowers. right? Like, why make Shohei wait 20 years? It's not about stats. This is about eye test. And usually it's mostly about stats. And then I apply eye test. This is about eye test. I've never seen a baseball player do all of the stuff. Dwight did a great job of unpacking it, man. The pitching, the hitting, the running. I mean, we got to go back to Babe Ruth, okay? We have to go back to Babe Ruth. But Shohei, I think, is more evolved than Babe Ruth. And he's the best player in the game right now. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I know Yankee fans, Aaron Judge is a stud. He's probably number 2. But Shohei's going to have a dynasty, guys. It will be the Shohei dynasty. Could also be called the Dave Roberts dynasty because, he was there for all these chips in this little clump right here. But this is probably going to go down as the Shohei dynasty. Guys, I'm ready to move on to basketball, talk a little Maxey and Edgecombe, unless you guys have one more little cherry on top here.
I just got a question for Dwight, if I may. Dwight, you mentioned the Montreal Expos. I mean, again, this is a team that should never be forgotten in history, especially because they were on the cusp of the World Series at the time when it all fell apart in '94, and then you had the lockout. It was a shame. I want to ask you, just maybe you can unpack a little bit more about the Expos and growing up a fan of them. And also, did you watch the documentary yet that just hit Netflix about them?
So I'm glad you asked that question, AM. I have not watched the documentary yet. It's all that the sports community here in Montreal is talking about. We definitely have hard feelings about what happened, and you referred to August 12th, 1994. We have a 6-game lead on the rival Atlanta Braves. We all believe that we're going to play against the vaunted New York Yankees in the World Series. That's how hyped up we were here in the city of Montreal. And to have that dream taken away from us, and then 10 years later, I was at the final baseball game in October in 2004 to witness the final Expos baseball game here. There have been a multitude, many opportunities for different people to want to bring back baseball here to Montreal, but for various reasons, it hasn't happened. I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime, but are we jaded here in Montreal? Absolutely. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And that's why it's tough in some instances, for some fans to jump on the Toronto Blue Jay bandwagon, if you will. But lovers of baseball still follow baseball and still love the sport. And listen, we are cheering for the Blue Jays. We are homers. We are loyal to our country. So, of course, we're going to cheer for them. But in the back of our minds, the Montreal Expos will never be forgotten. They have a historic history. And that documentary, if you guys out there who are not familiar with the Expos, I highly recommend you go to Netflix and watch the documentary. You will get an in-depth as you can. I don't know if the full story will ever come to fruition in terms of why the Expos failed here in Montreal, but you're going to get a pretty good look into why it failed here in the city and why we have a lot of questions still to this day. Although we lost the team in 2004, we are still asking many questions here in 2025 and beyond. It was a great history. We were a baseball town. We loved it. A lot of circumstances behind the scenes happened, but at the end of the day, we still love and miss our Montreal Expos. And August 12th, 1994 will be a day that we will never forget. Again, having a 6-game lead on the Atlanta Braves, feeling really, really good about ourselves and feeling really, really good about our chances of getting to our first World Series. And we were hoping and praying to play against the vaunted New York Yankees.
I can tell you this, the hat is one of the most iconic baseball hats of all time.
1,000.
It can pretty much only be described as dope, I would say. It's just a dope hat. They're still in print. You still see people wearing them around. And they're not even Expos fans. They might not even know, are they Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver, but they think that hat is freaking cool, and so do I. All right, so guys, let's talk some hoops. Here's some round ball. Monday night in the association was not like a phenomenal night, right? To me, and we've got an Ant-Man injury to talk about, a Luka injury to talk about. We got Wemby and the Spurs to talk about. Tons of cool stuff here on Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Rick Hamlet, Dr. X, Dwight Walton A.M. Pfeffer. We have our engineer, Kai. We have our producer, Jason. Dennis Scott, hopefully, he's going to be dropping in at some point. Cal Bowdler, former NBA player, is going to join us later. B-Dot's going to join us later. It's an extravaganza, guys and girls. You're in the right spot. Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe are on one. They are taking over the Eastern Conference right now. They're in first place, 3-0, with AM Chicago Bulls, who he will talk about a little later on in the show. So Maxey and Edgecombe, and the Sixers are 3-0. Embiid didn't even play last night. Paul George hasn't played a game yet, okay? Maxey had 43, 8 assists. Edgecombe, who is the front runner for Rookie of the Year right now, guys. It's not Flag. ESPN has a headline up right now. Flag hurt shoulder, benched in fourth quarter. It's just a nonsense clickbait headline, okay? He did not get hurt. He dinged his shoulder. He played through it the whole dang game. And Kid, because he wasn't playing well, made a coach's decision, and Flag was totally cool with it. Like, there's nothing more to see there unless we find out about some injury stuff with Flag. I don't think that's going to happen. Maxey and Edgecombe have combined for 182 points in 3 games, the most by any starting backcourt through a team's first 3 games of a season since starters were first tracked in 1970-71. So it's possible that pre-tracking, nobody ever did that in the early days of the NBA. That's insanity. 182 points from 2 dudes. Dr. X, I know you're not a Sixers fan. You're a huge Knicks fan. But this Atlantic Division rival's looking kind of dangerous right now.
It is. It is. Well, first off, I watch all the games because of fantasy sports as a result, but I actually picked up VJ Edgecombe as like, I think it was like my second to last pick. And I'm super glad that I kept him on the team as well after he dropped that. I think it was like 34 points game 1 against the Celtics.
Are you about
But
to
what I
win
love,
this thing? You got
you
Keyshawn
said what?
George. You got it. Are you about to win this thing? I mean, your team's looking great, Doc.
I mean, when I drafted him, I said to everybody, this is the third coming of Dwayne Wade, because I always feel like Donovan Mitchell was the second coming of Dwayne Wade. And I just the way he plays, the confidence, the edge, that year that a lot of people were giving Wade his props that year 'cause with Carmelo and LeBron doing their thing. There was a lot of former greats that were saying, I'm really impressed with this young man right here, and that was Dwayne Wade. And I see the same thing in VJ Edgecombe. I just think he has the intangibles. I saw he gets steals. A lot of people were saying stuff about his 3-point shot, but now he's been confident with that. He's shooting them. He's not really erratic. He kind of picks his spots. He's getting like 8 assists. This guy is good. So I think this backcourt is very dynamic, and it looks like Maxey isn't jealous of him. He's like, they're like working together, and they're starting to remind me. I don't remember them that well, but starting to remind me of like Steve Francis and Cuttino Mobley. That backcourt was very dynamic,
Great.
and it's pretty good. I want to see how this picks up. I'm not sure if a player like Paul George will distract from VJ Edgecombe's his productivity, but I really believe that a player like VJ could benefit from that because he's very confident. He's gonna go. He's very aggressive. I don't think his edge will ever leave. Then you also have Jared McCain, who's going to be eventually coming back from injury. So I mean, the X factor for them being the favorite in the East would really be Joel Embiid's health. And so, barring injury and all this other stuff that we love to say here, I'm not scared of them because I ultimately believe I ultimately believe that there's other teams out there that could beat them in a 7-game series. But this year, if this were the year to be like, they could possibly be that dark horse team, this would be the year because on paper, they have all the talent.
AM, do you believe in the 2-0 Sixers?
I
3-0 Sixers.
The 3-0 Sixers. I absolutely do. First of all, let this be a lesson to all of us. When you see a runaway train Rookie of the Year candidate like Cooper Flag, this is why you bet the field. Because you got over 82 games, anything could happen, right? And there's plenty of other guys out there and a couple big names who are out there. Edgecombe was one of them, and to Dr. X's point, and he knew it, and he's a smart man because he liked it. That's why you do it. I think it goes beyond this. because it's worth discussing right now. Just think about what's going on in the NBA at the moment. Darius Garland is hurt, right? So he doesn't, so Mitchell doesn't have his counterpart. Jalen Williams, who once in a while plays small forward, but is essentially a guard, is hurt at the moment, right? So Shea Gilgeous-Alexander does not have his counterpart. And I don't want to hear that, Jimmy Butler is actually a guard playing next to Steph Curry. I don't want to hear that Luka's that LeBron, who's also hurt, is a guard playing next to Luka. So for all intents and purposes right now, I just want to pose this question. Is there a better backcourt in the NBA right now that's actually healthy and starting?
Not right now.
So there you go. I mean, this is 3 games in. The Rook looks as good as you could possibly imagine. Philadelphia, if that's what it is, and Jared McCain comes back and he's healthy. I mean, Maxey's a superstar. He's a supernova, guys. He was this way last year, and he's only taking another leap. I mean, who cares what Embiid gives you, right? 20 minutes a game, doesn't play back-to-back nights. If you've got guys like this and you got in and out, Paul George hasn't even cracked the lineup yet. You got plenty of other role players. And Quentin Grimes, and I think it's worth mentioning him, okay, out of Houston, because he is really off the bench. Look at his 3 games, what he's averaging, what he's doing, what his plus-minus is. Philadelphia is the real deal, at least at the moment.
Dwight, do you believe?
Listen, it's funny that we're talking about this. I'm on several group chats, and I posed the question myself. I said, listen, and of course, as Phil said, for every team in the NBA, for every team in professional sports, quite frankly, we always have to preface our statements by saying, barring injury. But it definitely applies to the Philadelphia 76ers. You can't tell me, anybody on this panel right now, that if you have a healthy Philadelphia 76er roster, that they can't not only contend for an Eastern Conference championship, they can win or they can contend for an NBA championship. Look at the names we just mentioned. Quite possibly in the early stages of this season, the best backcourt that we currently have in the NBA, Tyrese Maxey, and Rookie of the Year leader after 3 games, VJ Edgecombe. Then, Paul George hasn't played yet. I think if Paul George understands the assignment, he's going to have to fit in rather than be dominant because of what he is seeing specifically out of VJ Edgecombe. Quentin Grimes, as A.M. Pfeffer just mentioned, having a terrific season so far. Andre Drummond gets to be slotted in the perfect backup role for him as far as I'm concerned, where he's not the offensive juggernaut that Joel Embiid is when he's healthy, but he can definitely defend, he can definitely rebound, and he's not that bad of an offensive player. If you ask Andre Drummond himself, he feels simply based on his rebounding numbers alone that he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's already on record saying that. Now, we can always discuss that at a later date, but that's how he feels about himself. And Nick Nurse is one of the better coaches that we currently have in the NBA. I truly believe when his roster is healthy, he's a top 5 coach in the NBA. The stars are aligning correctly right now. I'm intrigued by the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm not going to sit here and say I fully believe in them because of what has happened in the past in terms of their injury concerns. But if healthy, I am definitely intrigued by a roster that the Sixers can put forth, especially come playoff time. If they're healthy, they will be a scary proposition, not only in the Eastern Conference, but they can contend certainly for an NBA championship.
I mean, the East is as wide open as it's been in a while because Boston's not Boston. Tatum, we hope, is going to come back later in the year. Milwaukee's not quite Milwaukee anymore, and you can go team by team here. You know, you've got some intriguing question marks, but why can't Philly be top 4 in the East? They can. They need a lot of stuff to go their way. So far, so good, 3-0 with very, very little from Joel Embiid. He was garbage in the first game, played well in the second game, didn't play in the third game, nothing from George. But Embiid's going to get lathered up at some point. I don't think he's going to enter the MVP race. It seems like he's going to be on a season-long ramp-up. But last point here before we move on. I want to take people back to what Philadelphia did last year. This was a brilliant tank. Brilliant. This is what I think Boston should be doing this year. And they lost their first three. They won last night, but and who knows where they're going with this. I think they're going to keep hope alive. But Philly did not. Philly caved it in. They shut down Maxey. They shut down everybody. And guys, they needed to be in the bottom six. Otherwise, the first round pick would have gone to, guess who? Oklahoma City. All right. But Philly tanked. They got into the bottom and they got VJ Edgecombe. And now look at them. Now they're not tanking now. They're going for it. So this is how you tank. None of this Utah bull crap where you're tanking for 4 years, a presidential cycle. I mean, give me a break. Do a 1-year tank, get a hot draft pick, nail your draft pick, and come out on the other side and start winning. Now, Anthony Edwards, obviously, guys, is out indefinitely. So is Luka. More on him in a moment. Edwards is going to miss, according to Shams Charania, 2 weeks with a right hamstring strain. Suffered it Sunday in the game against the Indiana Pacers. He is, guys, a warrior. He has said before he doesn't believe in load management. If he's 80%, he'll play. I love all this stuff, right? This is obviously the grade hasn't been reported. Maybe you guys have seen it. The ESPN article I read did not have the grade. I presume they have run testing if they're ruling him out 2 weeks here. So, Dr. X, you first here. Will the Wolves ever get it right? Is sort of the overarching question here for us, because I'm a Wolves fan, have been my whole life. They're so frustrating. I mean, I love them. They're my Wolfies, but dang, man, we cannot get out of our own way. I don't know if we're ever going to get it right. I'm too close to it, okay? So, Doc, you first. How are you reading the Edwards injury, level of concern, and will my Wolves ever get it right?
So guys that probably drafted Edwards first, as you said, you have like 19 leagues, and whenever you're fifth or higher, you would pick Edwards as a default. So yeah, that would hurt fantasy wise. But if you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, you want to just be healthy at the end for the playoffs. For a 7-game series, you want to make sure that someone like Anthony Edwards is available. So with hamstring injuries, you want to make sure that you're not playing through it and then make it worse, because then once it gets to like a grade 2, they just tend to recur, and then you be out for longer. So you want it to heal properly. So I feel like there's more like a precaution for them to just keep them out for 2 weeks, just to make sure they rest it and doesn't get any worse. Because once it does that, it could be downhill. I know there was a player, Jose Calderon, back in the day. He every year, his last few years of his career is always some hamstring this, hamstring that, calf problem here, so those are issues that you don't really want to mess with. They tend to be grade 1s, unless you just rip it all the way off the bone, or the whole muscle belly rips off. This is not that. This is likely a grade 1, just being just the whole precautionary thing while he's out.
Understood. Dwight, are my Wolves ever going to get it right?
You know what, Rick? What I wanted to see Wolves management do during the offseason was get another playmaker besides Anthony Edwards. Beside Anthony Edwards. And this is no disrespect to Jaden McDaniels, Terrence Shannon Jr., who I think is a up-and-coming, I don't want to say star, but definitely a solid player in the NBA. And again, listen, Michael Conley Jr. has had a terrific NBA career, but he is getting long in the tooth. He's definitely on the back end of his career, and he was exposed during last year's playoff run. The Wolves have all the makings. They've gone to the Western Conference Finals the last couple of years, so they have gotten it right, to answer your question. However, what do the Wolves need to get into the NBA Finals now? And I think they missed the boat on not getting a secondary playmaker. If you look at the NBA rosters today, the successful rosters, is you're talking about depth and versatility. The Wolves have it, but they need that one more guy. Yes, they've got Julius Randle. They've got perennial Defensive Player of the Year contender Rudy Gobert. Michael Conley Jr., as I said. They've got Dante DiVincenzo, Terrence Shannon Jr., all these different players. I get it. But I still think they need what I wanted the Wolves to do was somehow try to get Darius Garland away from the Cleveland Cavaliers in some kind of deal. And I know trades are difficult in today's CBA world, but I'm just imagining Darius Garland alongside Anthony Edwards. That's a recipe for not only Western Conference success, but championship success, as far as I'm concerned. That's the type of player I would love to see beside a healthy Anthony Edwards on the Wolves. Again, the Wolves didn't need to do much tweaking because they've gone to the Western Conference Finals the past 2 seasons. But if they want to truly knock down that Western Conference door, they need another playmaker besides Anthony Edwards.
AM, level of concern with Ant-Man, and will my Wolves ever get it right?
Level of concern is probably about a 6 out of 10. So I'm on the other side of 5 at this point. Anytime you're talking about a soft tissue or hamstring, and I've learned this from Dr. X, I've learned this from Dr. Nav, you concerned. I mean, even though it feels like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, hamstrings are nagging injuries, and they will really drag you down when you're running out there on one leg. I'm going to double down on what Dwight said. I'm going to triple down what he said. Your Wolves have gotten it right. They really have. I mean, at this point, if you've been to the Western Conference Finals, and I know, look, all of us as fans, it's championship or bust all the time. But when you're making deep playoff runs, right? Like, that's it. You've gotten it right. You've got the guys. But Dwight is so right. You need a playmaker. You need another shooter next to Edwards. I mean, again, it's like Gobert does what he does, and Randall's a power forward doing what he does, and Reed and McDaniels are big guys doing what they do. But where is, the other playmaker who can move off the ball, outside of Ant Edwards, or do something more with the ball in his hands? I mean, DiVincenzo, for all intents and purposes, even if you thrust him into the starting lineup, is really a sixth-man coming off the bench, seventh guy coming off the bench, and he is good, taking nothing away from Dante DiVincenzo. But if you really want to elevate, if you want to get over the hump, you need another playmaker.
Whew, it's great points by you guys. So you guys are right. My Wolves have gotten it right in terms of they're not inept anymore. They're not mired in adversity anymore, right? Whether it's Cat versus Tibbs, whether it's Butler versus, it's just, Glenn Taylor, all the mistakes, the Joe Smith fiasco, not pass it on Steph Curry twice, right? This is my existence. This is my life as a Wolves fan. We can't have nice things, okay? So yes, we've made the West Finals twice. It's great, but. Right? We've been waiting a while, since like 1990, to make an NBA Finals. Never have been there. So that when I say get it right, you guys are absolutely right the way the question's asked. I'm looking for that gold ball. And I do believe that now that Glenn Taylor is out and it's A-Rod and Mark Lowry owning this team, that the ceiling's been lifted off this team. I literally think that Glenn Taylor just put a ceiling. Not unlike what Jim Dolan's done, and I think Dolan's now gotten out of the way of the front office, which is doing a really good job. But Dolan was too much in the way, and it really disrupted the team. Vivek Ranadive out in Sacramento, to me, is way, way, way too in the way, and he is keeping himself from winning a chip. So those are my thoughts on the Wolves here. Guys, for more injury information, go to our IG page, all right, or our YouTube page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, X-Rated Sports Network. And the best injury breakdowns in the business with Dr. X and also Dr. Nav. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel right there, X-Rated Sports Network. So let's move on here, guys. And unfortunately, another injury. Unfortunately, another soft tissue injury. Actually, it's like a couple of injuries here with Luka. He's going to miss approximately 1 week, or reevaluated in approximately 1 week. What does that mean, guys? It means he's out indefinitely, okay? It means the Lakers don't really have a definitive idea, or at least they're not reporting it, but it's a left finger sprain and a lower left leg contusion. And so, guys, my thing with Luka is he tough enough? And that's the question here. Is Luka tough enough? You don't have LeBron James. Your roster is not good. Okay, they're going to, and I know Reeves had the 51-point game, miraculous and heroic, and you beat Sacramento and all that kind of stuff, but that's not sustainable. You are not going to win games here. They just lost to Portland last night despite 41 from Austin Reeves. This isn't going to work. To me, you don't have the ability, the luxury to tap out right now. I feel this way about starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Guys play with broken bones. Rodgers has done it. Ben Roethlisberger has done it. Cam Newton played hurt all the time. You have to play. You're the quarterback. Our backup, where he's making $2 million, you're making $50 million. You have to play. And so to me, Luka is not tough enough mentally, always getting ticked off at the refs and all that kind of stuff. To me, he's not he's not tough enough physically. Guys, I have a stat for you. Luka Dončić has averaged 64 games over his career. That's missing 18 games a year. That's not good attendance. And that's like kind of a dirty little secret about Dončić. I don't think he's tough enough, guys, mentally or physically. Dr. X, you first here. Your level of concern on these two injuries for Luka, and do you think Luka is tough enough mentally and physically?
I feel like Luca is very tough mentally. Physically, I've seen him play through injuries, and sometimes you just have to really look at the examples. So in the bubble, I know it was the bubble, but a young Luca almost eliminated that Clippers team and was ducking no smoke. He was going like that's when I knew that he's a very clutch player, and he also is looking for that smoke. Also, when he played against the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, those guys, he's the type of player in a playoff series will play through an injury and will actually come up with big games when you don't expect it, whether it's on the road or even or at home. And he also did. I mean, they pulled out one game against the Celtics that year as well in the finals. So I definitely think he has the toughness in terms of this injury that he's going through right now. Um, and let me just reverse. Yeah, one thing that really annoys me about him is the constant complaining to the refs, and we know that kind of comes with the package. But the stats don't lie. I mean, the rebounds are there, the assists are there. He's clutch. He's a little erratic at times trying to get stuff done, but his touch around the basket, and ones when people bump him, it doesn't do anything to him. This touch is still there. So I think a player like Luca definitely got to give him the clutch factor, the toughness factor. Um, we'll see if this new body type can hold up to the injuries. But in terms of a calf bruise or something like that, you don't want to play with that. So it's equivalent of when you get a thigh bruise. What happens is you could potentially get a hematoma, and that could also lead to more tendon injuries. And the calf, that's your lower leg, is connected to the Achilles. So they don't want to play around with that injury, especially with a player like Luca. So they want to make sure they manage that properly and that there's no Achilles injury, leading some fatigue of the calf muscles. Eventually, you would have like Michael tearing, and eventually, if he overplays on that, he would potentially get a Achilles tear, maybe in the finals or late in the playoffs. So I'm okay with them sitting him for now. This kind of does put pressure on the LeBron situation. Like, how hurt are you? Are you holding out? Sciatica is the kind of like a rubber stamp injury when you want to just skip a day or get like you don't want to get in trouble with the league and you want to say, oh, I'm not playing today and it's a rest day, right? So I'm curious to see if LeBron will get past this whole sciatica injury with Luka down now. In terms of the finger sprain, it's his non-shooting hand, so I'm not worried about that either. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about Luka. The only thing I'd worry about with the competitive West is if you got to be, in the play-in tournament, and you don't even want to play around with that. So you want to be a top six team. And so the longer they play this game and you're not full strength, you could potentially fall out the whole play-in tournament.
Dwight, you're up next, man. Is Luka tough enough? Your thoughts on this injury?
I did on purpose, Dwight. I threw that little
No,
LeBron there.
you know what? Listen, hold on. I will never question the toughness of the great Luka Dončić. This guy has been a professional basketball player since he was 13 years old. He has played through a multitude of injuries. He played in the NBA Finals with an injury a couple of seasons ago. Yes, he already is not a defensive player. We all know that, but it was even more exposed in those finals because of the injuries that he has played through. Now, can we question his workout regimen during the off seasons, which leads to these soft tissue injuries that has forced him to only average, to your point, Rick, 64 games per season that he's played so far in his short career? Yes, that we could talk about that. But in terms of his toughness, his availability, he will do whatever it takes, and his competitive spirit. He will do whatever it takes to be on the floor and to help his team towards his goal of winning a championship. Now, I'm going to piggyback off of what ESPN/LA beat reporter Dave McMenamin reported yesterday. He talked about Luka Dončić is a lot more closer to returning to the lineup, more closer to the 1 week than he is a 2 week proposition right now. So he'll be back a lot sooner rather than later. So expect Luka to be back in the lineup, I would say, by early to mid next week. So he's not going to miss too much time here. And again, we think of LeBron James, and I'm going to bring it up again. I'm sick and tired of his injuries being non-negotiable. People think he's faking. Phil just said these games of not playing or seeing how long Luka's going to be out. Enough with this nonsense, please. If LeBron could be playing, he'd be out there playing. Okay, if you want to go to the fact that LeBron is very aware of individual awards, don't you think he wants to make the 65-game threshold so he can make first, second, or third team All-NBA and be up for all those awards? If you think he's that arrogant, that's what he wants to do. So if he could be back in the lineup, he would be. He's not sitting on the sidelines watching to see if the Lakers are any good. He understands what's going on with the roster. He wants to win a championship too. He's the most scrutinized athlete of all time. So he's aware of how we're all watching him on a second-by-second basis. But to get back to Luka, I'm not going to question his toughness. If he's hurt and he's out, there's a reason why he's out. He's wearing a splint on his left hand. He's got a lower left contusion. I don't know if it's the side of his leg, if it's the calf muscle, but whatever it is, I subscribe to what the Lakers are doing. They're playing the long game here. Yes, the Western Conference is very competitive, and you want to get off to as fast a start possible in a very competitive Western Conference. But if those players are available and healthy, trust me, they'd be on the floor. The Lakers are going to be just fine. Austin Reeves is holding down the fort. Yes, his offensive productivity right now is probably not sustainable for an entire 82-game season, but he's doing his best right now to keep the Lakers afloat until LeBron James and Luka Dončić return to the lineup.
AM, is Luka tough enough, and your level of concern about this injury, and thoughts on what Dr. X and Dwight said, the great takes from them?
Yeah, great takes, both. Level of concern for the injury is 1.5 out of 10. I'm not concerned about either injury. He's going to be just fine. He's coming back, and he's probably going to be back in a week or less. Now, Rick, I'm listening to your question. Pay attention to what you're asking, I promise. You're asking enough. Is he tough enough, right? Because you're already stating the baseline. There is a toughness there. I don't think anybody's questioning that he's not tough at all. There is some toughness there. To play in the NBA, to play as long as he has, to grind through so many games, regardless of what his body type is. I'm not going to question toughness. Is he tough enough? There's no shame in not yet being enough. Even Michael Jordan in 89-90, when he got his ass kicked by the Detroit Pistons, had to go back and look at himself in the mirror and say, I've got to get tougher. Different NBA back then, when you can actually toss guys around every which way. Not the same NBA now, but he understood, I have to get tougher. He spent his time. He went to the gym. He did all of that. Will Luka ever do that? I don't know. Is he enough right now to get over the hump and bring the Lakers to the NBA Finals and to the promised land? No. So he's not tough enough. And again, not questioning toughness at a baseline, but he's not yet tough enough. If Luka ended his career today, in my mind, what I think about him, I think about sending the Dallas arena into a frenzy in fourth quarter and overtimes. And that's pretty cool because he's amazing. And he absolutely showed up at some incredible times with incredible shots, down by a few, up by a few, got it done, whatever it may be. He's done it a few times already in LA as well. But as far as taking the Lakers to the promised land, he's got to get tougher.
So you guys, okay, there was, sorry about that. We are the X-Rated Sports Network Beyond the Surface. That is my ultimate point. Is he tough enough? Is he tough? Is there mental toughness? Where there's clutch, there's mental toughness, and he's certifiably clutch. To me, there's a level of toughness and or killer that he needs to get to. I would say the same thing, a similar thing. There's some different tentacles to it, but with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards has to get more serious to me. There's a level of killer, of shredder that he has to get to, that Kobe level, that Jordan level, where SGA got last year, where Jokic got a couple of years ago, where Giannis got in 21, where you solve that riddle. Like, you solve it. Like, there's this whole equation, and it's all of these intangibles and these tangibles, and these guys have solved it. I do believe that Luka eventually will solve that. I do believe that Ant-Man eventually will solve that. But I think both of them lack a little bit of toughness, that next level championship intangible / killer. They're working towards it. They're still, Ant-Man's a young 20s, Luka's a mid 20s. And so they're not like behind schedule here. They're right on schedule. And so, Doc, I go to you now here. I want to kind of compare, and we don't have to roundtable this. It can go where it goes, but I definitely want to hit you with this. Karl Anthony Towns is playing through a grade 2 quad strain. All right, we have the injury to Luka here. It's a lower leg contusion. Not really sure exactly what that means. We know that Ant-Man has a hammy. Okay, so we might have 3 different injuries here. But Doc, why, and maybe get into why Cat's playing, why Ant-Man and Luka, as we know, based on the reporting, I would say are out indefinitely. So why is Cat playing and these other guys are not?
The quad isn't as worrisome as a hamstring, as well as the calf muscle, which would be the gastrocnemius, and the soleus muscles, which is the lower leg. With Luca's, you really have to like you can recover from that pretty quickly if you just rest. So you always have to think worst case scenario. So a lower calf injury could eventually lead to an Achilles rupture, which would be out for too long, right? Indefinitely. The chances of a quad injury, which is the front of the thigh, leading to something that would take you out, like a season-ending injury or even career-altering injury, is very low. Those are usually contusions, like someone knees you in the thigh, or maybe you have a cramp. That's more like a grade 1. I think it's the grade of injury that Cat has that he can play through it. Now with the hamstring, hamstrings are tricky. It's almost like the lower leg injury. If you tear your hamstring, you're pretty much out. I don't know if you guys remember what happened with not Andre Iguodala, but to OG Anunoby about 2 playoffs ago, where he was missing in action and couldn't play, and you saw how hampered he was with moving when he did try to play that one game and only was able to play one possession and had to come out. So with that said, I would say the hamstring injuries, I would put them up there second after the lower leg calf injuries. So that's why I think Karl Anthony Towns is able to play through. It's probably a lower grade and there's less risk for like collateral damage if you keep on playing on it. Now, what was your second question, Rick, in terms of, was it just injury based only as it relates to these players? You're on mute, Rick.
Yeah, exactly. Because historically, you look at Towns, like before he got to the Knicks, guys, he was an injury-prone player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look at the games played column in the Minnesota years, it was not a great read. I mean, he'd play 40 games, 50 games. I think he had a couple of good attendance years, but it was weird. Luka's kind of in the middle, right? 64 games is somewhat acceptable. Like, I'd like it to be higher. Ant-Man obviously is one of the top availability guys we have in the game. He's up there with Siakam and Trae Young and Jason Tatum when he's not, all Achillesed up, and guys like that. DeMar DeRozan's another guy that comes to mind. He just plays and plays and plays and plays and plays. So I want to get Dwight going here on and get us going here on the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. Let's first talk about the Spurs, and then I want to talk about Wemby. And if you want to merge the two, the question here is, are the 4-0 Spurs for real? Are they for real? Are they just off to a hot start? They beat Toronto last. I mean, it's Toronto, right? They don't make the schedule. They line them up and knock them down. They played the Nets to go 3-0. So a couple of these opponents haven't been great. But Wemby goes 24-15, 2 steals, 1 block last night. In the victory over the Nets, he went 31-14. He's had a 9-block game. Remember the game against Zion? Like, he's absolutely wrecking the league right now. Dwight Walton, you first here on the X-Rated Sports Network. Our show is Beyond the Surface. Are the 4-0 Spurs for real?
As long as Victor Wembanyama is healthy and upright, the Spurs are going to be for real. Are they ahead of the curve, if you will, right now? I believe so. I think many of us prognosticated before the season that they're a borderline, talking about the Spurs, a borderline playoff team, but more likely to be a play-in team. But just based on what I've seen, not only I'll get to Wembenyama in a moment, but seeing Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Luke Cornett, who's out to an injury right now, that is depth. Mitch Johnson is a young and upcoming, competitive and exciting coach. If you watch him on the sideline, if you listen to his in timeout pep talks, if you will, during his timeouts, he is very engaged. I think he senses how special this group can be this season. I'm not going to go over the top and say they have a chance to win a championship this season, but again, as long as Victor Wembanyama is upright and healthy, he is going to give the Spurs a competitive chance in every game they play. And I am not one to make absolute predictions so early into a season. But as far as I'm concerned, Victor Wembanyama won the Defensive Player of the Year award in the second game of the year when he had those 9 blocks. Anybody that can affect the game that way on the defensive end and to then rebound the ball at the rate that he is and then be able to initiate an offense in the open floor, then in the half court, and to finish it off with a in-between crossover, behind the back, dribble through the legs, step back 3, getting fouled, or to hit shots from the logo. It's not fair what he is doing as a 7'5" athlete. It is unique. That's why we call him the unicorn. And he is the reason why. You're talking about everybody's been clamoring for the next face of the NBA. Victor Wembanyama is the next face of the NBA. I know us here in North America want it to be a Canadian or an American. I get it. But let's just call it as it is. Victor Wembanyama is going to be the face of the NBA. Adam Silver and the NBA people at the front office need to make the Spurs going forward the most watched nationally televised team because of Victor Wembanyama. He is amazing. He performs on command. First Christmas game last year, did it on command. He is not afraid of the moment. He purposely learned English and wanted to get away from his French accent because he knew he was going to be this great in the NBA. He is born for this. He is ready for this. He has prepared for it. He wants, as the kids say on the streets, all the smoke. And he has the mindset of wanting to win a championship. He knows how great he is. He understands that his career was almost taken away from him 8 months ago, which is why he went to China and did the things that he did. Went to NASA. It's almost as if he's trying to get his bucket list in before his mortality is up, if you will. That's how dedicated this man is. He loves his job, loves his craft, wants to be a dominant, great, transcendent champion. That's what he wants for himself. That's what he wants for the Spurs. And as long as he's upright and healthy, the Spurs are going to be in the championship conversation. And I'm very much a believer in the Spurs, albeit a quick turnaround. I think that they have a chance to do something very special this season.
AM and then Dr. X. Are the Spurs at 4-0 for real right now, or are you not ready to jump into that pool?
I'm ready to jump into the pool. They are for real right now. And I like how you're kind of adding the tail end right now. They're absolutely for real right now. Are they for real for 82 games? I think they have the capacity to be, and let's break down why for a second. But let's go back and talk a little bit about what happened right at the beginning of this season. Look at their over-under before we started the season. It was 42. And right before the season started, it had jumped down a full 1 game. So there was a lot of people who did not believe in the Spurs, right? Or the long-term health of Victor Wembanyama, or his ability to take this unimaginable leap that he has and still has room to grow. But it's really about everybody else. It's the 2 young guys you're really talking about that everybody was so excited about in Steph Castle and Dylan Harper. I mean, Steph Castle through 4 games, 17 points, 6.3 boards, 5 assists, shooting 53% from the field. Harper, 16 points, 5 boards, 4.3 assists, shooting 48.6 from the field. I mean, come on. If these guys are coming along that early so well and they can keep contributing at levels even close to that, you're absolutely in the mix. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, they've been there already a few years and were there from the beginning with Wemby over these 3 years, and they've grown up Spurs. So there's an intrinsic fabric that's happening with the team, and that's great glue. Harrison Barnes is the consummate veteran. When you think about guys, journeyman guys through the league when they were Andre Iguodala's, a Wiggins, now Harrison Barnes, he's a great veteran who knows his role on the team and does what he does. And you haven't even put De'Aaron Fox into the mix yet. They're 8 deep. They can absolutely hang with anybody. And if you look across the league right now, at least through 4 games, the top team defensively in points against, right, are the Spurs. It's the Bulls at the top of the East, and it's the Spurs at the top of the West. Now, whether that sticks or not, we don't know. But defensively, they're playing out of their minds. They are 8 deep. I'm a believer. And I think, if you took the over on 42.5 right at the beginning of the year, you're feeling very good about where you're sitting right now.
Dr. X, Are you a believer in the 4-0 Spurs?
Absolutely. I think they're a little ahead of schedule. And that funny saying we also always say about, I think there was this Toronto Raptor player. He's like 2 years away from being 2 years away. I think they're there right now. And what's encouraging about this, unfortunately, De'Aaron Fox is out to start the year, but that's allowing players like Castle to build up their skill set of being shot makers, shot creators, playmakers. Same thing with Dylan Harper. And then don't forget about this kid Bryant, who's a defender. You don't even know if he's a Kawhi Leonard in the making, And what I love about the Spurs is they're really good at finding talent, but also nurturing the talent and getting them to the level where they need to be. So it's just a beautiful marriage of all these factors that the Spurs have in their roster and the depth that they have with young generational talents. And for them to be this competitive this early, I just want them to get to the playoffs because in the 7-game series, you had De'Aaron Fox, who was the most clutch player in the NBA. And you remember how that Sacramento Kings team looked, almost eliminated the Warriors team. And so you really think they have something very special. And I just want to see a healthy De'Aaron Fox and Wemby really get that chemistry together and want to see them in a playoff matchup because I think those 2 players would be incredible. And I think the toughness of their young players is only going to carry over and get better. So they're a very dangerous team. I think they would probably be a top 6 team the way they're starting out now. And with that said, I think they could challenge OKC, and it'd be great to see Chet versus Wemby. I know we're always confused with these heights. Is it really 7'5"? Is it 7'4.5"? Is it 7'3 3/4"? But Chet, I believe, is about what 7'3" to 7'4" as well, and he's no slouch either. So that would be great to see that matchup, Chet and SGA versus Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. So I'm looking forward to it. They're definitely the real deal.
I agree. This team, and it's star power, it's defense, it's shooting, it's depth. It's a beautiful blend of older players, mid-year players, young players, which I think you've got to have. If you're too old, it's probably not going to work. If you're too young, you don't know how to win yet. A good blend of all of that. They go 3 deep at many of their positions. Kelly Olynyk is on this team. That guy can still play. He's their 3rd string center. So what they have shown me without De'Aaron Fox is that I can believe in them. Like, go ahead and invest in them. Go ahead and get stock in this team. I thought coming in roster construction that they would be a top 6 team. That's as far as I was willing to go. I'm not putting you up in the top 4. With OKC and Denver and maybe Houston and a lot of the usual suspects, maybe the Clippers, Lakers, Wolves, Warriors, right? Can I get you that high? I can now. Okay. But I needed to see this. I needed to see Wemby doing what he's doing with this group, with Carter Bryant, with Dylan Harper, with Stephon Castle. What's he going to do coming off Rookie of the Year? He's only taken his game to another level. Dylan Harper has been awesome, guys. He hasn't been good. He's been awesome in very low minutes. And he's already flexing on dudes and taunting dudes, and like, I like that. That shows the young guys got confidence. And remember, he had a little disruption injury wise in the preseason. Quickly got over that, and he's been a big part of their plan. The infusion of De'Aaron Fox is going to be very, very interesting for this team. How does that go? And I understand that, you know, all of the playing time that Harper's getting, that Bryant's getting, that specifically Castle's getting right now is huge, right? When Fox comes back, though, that's going to change. And so we can kind of table that discussion for when Fox actually comes back, but I'm really curious to see how that works. Doc, I love where your head went, because I think this team could realistically be a second-round playoff team. West Finals, I'm not ready to go there. I'm not ready to, because they haven't done it yet. They haven't even played a playoff series with this group yet. So, you know, but could they win a playoff series if they get the right matchup, right? Could you knock out a Wolves team? Could you knock out a Clippers team? Damn right they could. And then, so like you said, when Chet and Wemby play against each other, and they're not even really the same, they're kind of the same position. I don't know if they don't like each other, but they get up for that matchup. And I'll tell you another one, and you guys already know this. Jokic and Wemby. Jokic and Wemby is as good as it gets. To me, it's the best individual mano-a-mano matchup in the entire NBA. If you know, you could talk about, I want to see Booker versus Ant-Man and all this shit, that's great. The one that it's Jokic and Wemby for me. And ooh la la, what if we got a playoff series with that? A.M, I'll go to you first here. Is Wemby your MVP right now in the National Basketball Association through about a week? Would you give it to him? SGA's obviously been phenomenal. They're undefeated. Maxey's been phenomenal. Who's your MVP right now?
I'm going with SGA only because he's what he did, especially in those first two games that went to double overtime, where he had to show up at the time that he did and will his team to win. Again, we're talking about 4 games. I mean, in comparison, who's the best player in the NBA? I'll go with Wemby, and then I'll go with Jokic, and then I'll go with SGA. But SGA is my MVP, at least at this exact moment, because of what he did in those first 2 games.
Dr. X, you're next. Who's your MVP right now in the National Basketball Association?
I'm gonna go with Wemby. Number one, their record. That's always important in your record in the actual West Coast. And then on top of that, he plays both sides of the floor, and he's going to be double doubling, probably triple doubling with blocks. Triple double with blocks. He's flirting with that. The thing about SGA, a lot of his stats are inflated right now because at least 2 double overtime games to start the year off. And so I don't think he would have hit the 50 number mark. He did have incredible numbers in regulation, but I just think Wemby just jumps off the page in terms of the defensive prowess, the blocks, the steals, and just the way that, I mean, I think there's even a stat where he alters shots, and that effect, can't be counted the same way for this MVP stuff, but the voters are aware of it, and I just feel like, he might be the next one to get the unanimous MVP like Steph Curry did one year. And I believe that this guy has all the capabilities and all the talents and, to actually check all those boxes to get something like that.
All right, Mr. Walton, who's your MVP here through about a week of ball?
Victor Wembanyama is my most valuable player, my most improved player, my defensive player of the year. I listen again. I know this is shock media right now, and I'm saying a lot, but listen, with all due respect to Shea, and I love Shea, I know Shea well. He's done it. Victor Wembanyama has changed the trajectory of how we're thinking of the Spurs right now. A.M. astutely pointed out how the win threshold at the beginning of the season was 42. It went down to 41 just before the season started. And now we're talking about the Spurs possibly finishing in the playoff picture, not in the play-in, but in the playoff picture. And who's responsible for that? Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama has improved as a basketball player. So he's my most improved player this season. And like I told you, the second game of the season, he had 9 blocks. He won the Defensive Player of the Year award that night. And it's just going to continue. I just think Wembanyama has been that dominant. And again, please let him stay healthy. He will continue to impact winning on both ends of the floor. That's how great he is. For as great as SGA, Nikola Jokic, and the rest of the MVP candidates are going to play this season, they will not have the impact on both ends of the floor the way Victor Wembanyama will have this season. And again, I know it may sound crazy to some, but he's also improved as a player. I don't know if the voters are going to vote him in that category, but for me, he is the MVP, the MIP, and the DPOY. All 3 of those. I think he's been that spectacular, and I hope and pray that he stays healthy because he is must-watch television for the entire league, for the entire world to see. We are seeing a superstar blossom right before our very eyes. He's that good so far this season.
Do I catch a flight down to San Antonio? Because Victor's going to need help carrying all of those trophies that you've just given him. And I don't agree with anything you said. He's my MVP as well. Guys, and we got to give a shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This guy's averaging 40. He's averaging 40 points a game. Like you said about, the inflation with the overtime. Also, and God bless him, like he's stepping up without Jalen Williams, who is a rock star. He's a top 20 player in the game today. And so SGA's got more on his plate. He's like, cool, what do you need? You need 40 tonight? You need a double. Pardon me, Doc, I can't say it that way. Do you need 55 tonight? It's just reverberation. I'm sorry. But anyway, Wemby's my MVP. Let me read you his stats. And part of the reason is, right, OKC's 4-0. They're at the top of the West. Duh. They won 68 games last year. That's exactly where they're supposed to be. The Spurs aren't supposed to be at the top of the West right now. The Sixers and Bulls are not supposed to be atop the East right now. That's why I mentioned Maxey's name at least to just get it in there, even though none of us are going with him. But Maxey, we see you. We love what you're doing. Wemby right now is at 31 points a game, which in a lot of years is good enough to lead the league. He's at almost 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, and unbelievable 4.8 blocks. He's shooting 60% from the field. The 3 balls are down, guys, and I love it. Okay, he took 8.8 3 balls a game last year. Made 3, made 35%. That's all decent, right? He's at 36% this year. 2.8 attempts, 1 made. I think that number will rise a little bit, but I like it. It's a focus. Let's get closer to the rim. Let's dominate. Where you can really, really dominate. Stop jacking threes 35%. You're not going to win a championship that way. Wemby has solved that. He's gone from 24 to 31 points per game. And guys, he has not taken any more shots. This year, 18.3 shots a game. Last year, 18.6 shots per game. Free throws are up 6 per game. These are the advancements, the improvements that are going to help you win big. Not just win 47 games, be a play-in tournament team and all that. No. This is what you need to do to win 52 games, all right, and be top 4 in the West and be one of the bad boys and have somebody come to your crib in the first round of a playoff series and you guys know San Antonio. I've been down there for a million playoff games. That it's not electric. It's a roar. And the AT&T Center, I think they've changed the name, is a big cavernous place, and it's really, really, really loud. So this is all really exciting stuff. Now, so is this. Let's debut a new bit. A.M. Pfeffer, guys, wants to get us into this. It's called the 500 Club, and it's a cool bit. It's going to take us off the usual suspects a little bit. A.M., why don't you take it from here and introduce the 500 Club to everybody watching the X-Rated Sports Network? Our show is Beyond the Surface.
Rick, I appreciate that. Let's get into a little Americana. I got to set this up the right way. Well, what is the 500 Club? Let me take you back to 1942 when Skinny D'Amato took over what is the 500 Club in Atlantic City. And just so you understand, this wasn't a first or second or even third tier nightclub in the lore. It wasn't the Copacabana, but it had its place in history. This is where Martin and Lewis cut their teeth before they became the absolute darlings that they were in America for 10 years. Sammy Davis Jr. spent many a night doing the 500 Club and honing in his chops and his voice and all of that. And Sinatra, when he was down in the doldrums, after he was high and then he was low, he went back to the 500 Club in Atlantic City and had to go back there and do a little stage work before he came back into the fabric. And in fact, at one point, Sinatra had this to say about the 500 Club. Everybody's career jumped a little higher and a little faster because of the 500 Club. And I'm going to bring this back to what are we talking about here? 500 to 1. There are 5 teams that are part of the 500 Club that started the season 500 to 1 to win the championship. And I'm going to put a little bit more context on this. Let's just talk about the 1,000-yard stare teams. Those are the 1,000 to 1 odd teams. And you're talking about the Nets, the Wiz, and the Jazz. Well, the Jazz have really risen up, and this is a fluid number. So obviously throughout the season, the odds are going to change. Let's give the Jazz their flowers a little bit. They're doing a little bit better. But when you think about the Nets and you think about the Wiz, that's kind of how you're watching a game. You got 1,000 yards there trying to watch the game on that. But the 500 Club consists of 5 teams. That is the Charlotte Hornets, the Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Chicago Bulls. They all have intrigue. Every single one of those teams, for different reasons. As a fan of the NBA, you're going to find a reason to tune in and understand what's going on inside those rosters, inside those buildings, and certainly what they're doing night to night. I am going to start with the Chicago Bulls. To me, they are the most interesting team. There's a lot going on with them. And I'm going to start with this. Josh Giddey is the highest paid player on that team, making $25 million a year. And the Bulls have him for the next 4 years, making $25 million a year. This is the 3-0 Chicago Bulls starting out this year, okay? And you think about so many other teams where they're paying guys, and now that we've got a second apron here, 40, 50, close to $60 million. Josh Giddey is your highest paid player making $25 million a year. Matas Pasoulis, okay, is still on a rookie contract for another 3 years after this. Pat Williams is making about $18 million a year for the next 3 years. After that, everybody's off the books after this year. We're talking Vucevic, we're talking Herter, we're talking Kobe White, who hasn't even stepped onto the court yet this year. They're doing it all without him, okay, at 3-0. But it's not necessarily that I'm so excited that they're going to continue doing what they're doing and ultimately be a team in the East to be reckoned with or even make it to the playoffs. I'm much more interested in their future, okay? I love that core of the 3 guys that I mentioned personally. They own Portland's first-round pick as well this year, as long as it's not lottery protected. So if Portland somehow falls out of the lottery, and this goes on for the next 3 years, by the way, that if Portland falls out of the lottery over the next 3 years, and don't forget Dame Lillard will be back next year, the Bulls get their first-round pick. So more than likely, the Bulls by the end of the season will be a lottery team. Maybe Portland falls just outside the lottery team, so they've got their pick as well, and they've got more money than every other team possibly combined to play with after this. What am I getting at? I'm thinking about Giannis. They might be a destination team for Giannis. I really believe that. If by the end of this year or the beginning of next, Milwaukee says we've got to get something back for Giannis because it's just not happening. He's not going to opt into that second year. He's going to get one more contract after this before he goes off and back to Greece 3, 4, 5 years from now and finishes his career there. Where's it going to be? Is it going to be in Milwaukee? Is it going to be somewhere else? I think the Bulls are very much in play. You give up your first rounder this year, which is more than likely going to be a lottery pick. You give up that Portland pick undoubtedly, no matter what happens over the next 3 years, whether it turns into a lottery pick or not, one way or another, and then you give up 3 or 4 more years. But do you have to give up any other assets? I don't know. But you have the money. You know, could Giannis and his team look and say, do I want to play next to Giddey, Boutzelis, and a Pat Williams, and maybe you re-sign a Vucevic, but you have all the money you need to go out and get other free agents. You have assets. I'm very excited about the Bulls team. I think they're in a good place. I think management's done a good job to set them up for success moving on. Thank you, Rick, for giving me a little time to run that bit. I throw it back to you.
The 500 Club, Dr. X. I give you the Suns, the Hornets, the Bulls, the Pelicans, the Kings. Give us one of those teams that intrigues you the most upside, a team that you may plug into watching on League Pass. Suns, Hornets, Bulls, Pels, Kings.
Yeah, definitely. There's only three teams that I'd be excited about watching. On paper, I would go with the Kings only because Westbrook wearing number 18. I think that means because he played 18 years in the league at this point. But him coming off the bench, you have a high flyer, even with all the injuries. Zach LaVine is still putting up good numbers. DeMar DeRozan is still putting up solid mid-range numbers and still has that clutch factor. And then you have Sabonis as well. I kind of like, and then Schroeder, you have Schroeder that's also on the Kings. So I like the Kings roster on paper. They lost a game that they should have won, um, and I believe that was against the Jazz. And I'm not too sure, but I think I like watching the Kings, and they're always trying to light the beam after every game when they win. I just believe that their team will be dismantled probably by the end of the season. I don't think they have much longevity like I would say the Bulls do in terms of building something. I think a lot of those older players that are exciting on paper won't be there next year. In terms of the Suns, I just feel like that was just a mashup. Everybody just landed. They have so many bigs: Nick Richards, Mark Williams. Um, they're just a very redundant big squad. And then you have Booker and Jalen Green's not playing yet. So we don't know what that looks like. Grayson Allen is playing his tail off, getting a lot of minutes, but they're not really exciting to me. The Pelicans are exciting because that's the new body of Zion, the new look Zion Williams. We're all trying to see if he's going to actually play beyond just, I think I'm not sure how many games he averages a year, but it looks like, he hasn't been injured yet. I like the roster of the Pelicans, but we're kind of bored with picking them as our dark horse at this point. So it's almost like how we treat the 76ers. No one is mentioning them because we're just tired of having hope for them just to be let down again. So we'll table that for now and wake us up if you guys actually do it. So I would say, with all that said, I also look at the Hornets as very injury prone. LaMelo Ball is like paper mache. There's always a wrist injury. There's always an ankle injury. There's always some sort of contusion, and I don't think he'll last long for this season. Hopefully he does, but it's kind of they always get our hopes up. Brandon Miller already missing, so there's a lot of injury issues with the Hornets, and I was deep down inside, I always feel like they're about to tank any second now. So I would say the Kings. The Kings really have my attention in terms of a league pass pick. I agree with you, AM. The Bulls do seem like they're setting up something nice there in Chicago, but I'm gonna definitely go with the Kings right now if you want to find a hot league pass game.
Dwight Walton, Suns, Hornets, Bulls, Pelicans, Kings in the 500 club. Pick a team that intrigues you the most.
I think to piggyback off of what AM talked about, I think the correct response are the Bulls, but I want to elaborate on the Hornets a little bit. I think it's about time that the Hornets do something. I think LaMelo Ball is on the clock here in terms of maturing as a basketball player. Amazing talent. I think he's great. He's a reason why some young people will buy tickets in the Charlotte area and on the road. But does his play uh, does it lead to winning? That'll be my question with him. They've got some very good players on that roster. We're talking about Con Knipple, Miles Bridges, the big fella. I forget his name now. Number 11. I forget his name. It hasn't crossed my mind, but they have some intrigue. No.
Kalkbrenner?
Thank you very much. Thank you, fellas. They have some intriguing talent, a terrific young coach. I think it's about time that they step to the plate. The reason why I don't want to elaborate on the Bulls, I just think the Bulls have a good enough roster to consistently be in a play-in situation. And I'm not sure if they're, and I know Kobe White hasn't played to start this season. Matas Buzelis, I think, is a very intriguing prospect going forward. They've got Josh Giddey, Nick Vucevic, Pat Williams. I'll always love Billy Donovan as a coach. I just think it's it's a nice little roster, but they're a play-in, borderline playoff roster in the Eastern Conference. I want the Charlotte Hornets to come to the table. I want LaMelo Ball to take the next step of becoming a more mature, responsible basketball player / leader for this franchise that has been lured in mediocrity for many, many seasons. It's about time they step to the plate and make us want to watch a Hornets basketball game. Brandon Williams as well. I know they've got one of the best broadcast teams. What's Eric's last name? I forget Eric and Del Curry. If you want to watch a Hornets game, listen to those two broadcast a game. It's exciting. But I want to see results now on the basketball court. It's the correct response are the Bulls, but the team I want to see get a little bit further and have us more intrigued and interested are the Charlotte Hornets.
Love it. I'm a big Buzelis guy, especially in fantasy, the blocks, the threes. So I'm going to give you guys, as we wrap up the 500 club here, we're going to bring on Cal Bowdler in just a moment, former NBA player, and he's with the Retired Players Association in Atlanta right now. Suns, Hornets, Bulls, Pels, and Kings. I'm going to hit you guys with the Phoenix Suns because the Suns to me are teetering on a tank, but I know that their governor, Matt Ishbia, doesn't want to tank. He's been one of the most aggressive new owners I've ever seen, and most of his moves did not work out, right? The Bradley Beal trade, the Durant trade, it all just blew up in his face. Now you don't have draft picks. They're trying to get draft picks back, and so it's a mess. All right, but you have Mark Williams, who last year was 15-10. I know he's injury prone, but loved him at Duke. Nick Richards, Common Maluach, another young stud from Duke, 10th overall pick. Big fan of his, okay? And also Iguodaro plays a little bit, but he's kind of he's a decent player. You've got wings that can defend. Ryan Dunn. You go to Royce O'Neal. Obviously, Grayson Allen's not a defender. He's a three-point banger. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, Dylan Brooks is off to a great start this year. I know Jalen Green is out with his injury. He re-aggravated it late in training camp, so he's going to miss some time. Devin Booker killing it like he usually does. Guys, why can't it? And so is it going to work? Is it going to come to a boil? Or are guys going to be hurt and the team says, all right, screw it, pull the plug, we're going to go for draft picks now? That's why I'm fascinated by this team, because I think if you're hitting me with Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks, Ryan Dunn, Mark Williams, with a bench of Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, maybe a little Rasheer Fleming, who hasn't worked his way to the rotation. The bench is a little suspect here, guys. But in the middle of the West, I think it gets a little softer. You got teams like Memphis. You got teams like Sacramento, like teams like Dallas. Why couldn't Phoenix, if they get healthy and things go well, be a 9th or 10th seed, right? And I'm not super high on them. I'm only like end of the play-in tournament, maybe kind of sort of high on them. And it all depends on health. But they have an intriguing roster to me. They have an owner who's hell-bent on winning and not tanking. Do they this year pull the plug and decide to tank? So that's why my answer is the Phoenix Suns. All right, let's bring in a buddy of mine and a former NBA player for 3 years, Cal Bowdler. Former first-round pick, 17th overall back in 1999. He was recently named the VP of the Board of Directors for the Atlanta chapter of the NBRPA, the Retired Players Association. And so I wanted to have Cal on and talk about that. Cal, Rick Kamla, obviously we go way back. Dr. Phil McDonald, Dr. X. We have Dwight Walton down here in the lower left corner. And we have A.M. Pfeffer holding it down in our LA studios. Cal, congratulations on this gig, man.
Hey, first, Rick, let me say we miss you in Atlanta, my man. We miss you in Atlanta, no question. And great meeting the rest of you guys. And thanks for having me on the show, for sure.
Welcome.
Appreciate that,
it's great. Found out that in Atlanta, there's probably maybe 250 retired players across 3 leagues. So we represent the NBA, the WNBA, and the Harlem Globetrotters. So we're rich and retired players here. I'm going to try and make a push to bring everybody together. And hey, look, we got one of the most elite fraternities in the world, if you think about it. And there's no reason why we shouldn't come together and help lift each other up and support each other in the community and basketball and beyond.
That's awesome, Cal. How did this come about for you? Did you seek it out? Did they come to you? Is it just relationship building? How did this come to be for you?
Well, kind of a combination. So I've been heavily involved with the Hawks for the last 10, 12 years or so since I've been back in Atlanta after retiring. And so I'm around a lot of the guys then in different events and different things going on, games and stuff like that. Dale Ellis was the previous president of the chapter. Cedric Toney, Harold Keeling, some of those names you might know. The national organization just this past year hired Antonio Davis to come in as CEO and really kind of revamp and rejuvenate the entire organization. And Atlanta was one of those target markets, again, because we have so many retired players here. It really could be impactful, not only for the city of Atlanta, the state of Georgia, the Southeast, but also uplifting to the entire national organization. And so, Dale was getting a little bit older and was looking to step down, and so we brought in some more people. Our president here is Nakia Sanford Lawson. You may remember from the WNBA. She's awesome. I'd kind of been in the conversation for a long time, talking to Cedric and Dale, and then Antonio when he got brought in. It's like, hey, I'd really be interested in helping grow the organization here in Atlanta, and that's how it kind of unfolded.
Incredible.
Beautiful.
Hey, Cal, welcome to the network. My question for you is the NBA overall doing right by the retired players across the leagues you just mentioned? I know there has been some angst in the past in regards to some of the things that some of the players were or were not getting, if you will. I don't want to bring up any negative thoughts here, but has the NBA stepped up to the plate in regards of taking care of the past players and doing things that will be better for the retired players in the future?
Well, so that's a great question. And to be fair, I'm just getting involved with the organization officially this year. Sadly, I was not, I won't use the word aware, but certainly not involved formally until this year. And of course, I've heard some of the same, complaints that you're mentioning there. And I think the organization is doing a great job of trying to build and make up for some of those miscomings that we've seen and heard about. I know, they're looking at healthcare programming and, bringing in partners, and they've got scholarship opportunities and all kinds of things through the Retired Players Association. And that's what at the top that Antonio's really running. In terms of direct involvement of the NBA itself, I don't know yet the inner workings of kind of where the Retired Players Association, the actual Players Association, and the NBA intertwine. That's something that I need to dig into myself as I get my feet wet a little bit more. I do know that based on conversation I've had, the NFL has a really strong retired players network. And so I'm hoping to meet with them in the Atlanta group as well and learn from them as we try to build and, make up for some of the things that might be missing, some of the things that have not been done well. I think we have a great opportunity to build that in Atlanta. Again, we have so many retired players that live here and just have not gotten together and have not been doing events and supporting each other. The opportunity is really, really great to build.
I love it. Is there a chance of having a Canadian chapter?
So that's a great point. So, I think it's city based. So I don't think there would be any reason why not. That's a question I'll ask, for you though, for sure. I mean, I know like Dallas has one, Houston has one, Atlanta kind of covers the Southeast. So the Carolinas, Alabama, Tennessee, so those markets, Florida has theirs. So we cover a little bit more territory, but certainly, Toronto should have one. There's no question. We need to find out if they don't have, maybe they do and they're not active. That's kind of the case we had here in Atlanta. So who knows?
I nominate my cousin Dwight Walton. All in favor, say aye.
Great.
Thank you, Chris.
But I have another question for you. I saw that you played with Sharif Abdul-Rahim.
I did.
Did you in Atlanta? Okay. what were the battles like with a player like Sharif Abdul-Rahim, with a player like Tracy McGrady or Kobe Bryant? Do you remember any of those battles, and were you up close and personal with that?
So let me tell you the first battle I had with Sharif. He got traded to the Hawks coming into my second year, and my rookie year I was drafted. I wore number 3 on my jersey, and as you know, Sharif was number 3. So Sharif got
Oh,
traded and came in as All-Star. So our first battle was he took my number 3, and I had to get a number. I had to get a number for my jersey. So I lost that battle. That was my first battle with Sharif.
Did you get any money from it? Did he break you off at all for that?
I mean, it didn't go in my pocket. I mean, yeah, we did some stuff, and it was all gravy. But I lost my number. That was more valuable than wherever the money went. To me anyway. To me, so that's the first battle I lost with Sharif. But Sharif was a great dude. He was from Atlanta, so he was a hometown guy. So he was very well received. He was actually the first guy that I played with that dropped a 50-piece. That was incredible to see in person. He had 50 points in a game, and that was the first time I had been on the floor with somebody that had scored 50. So that was cool. But, he was a great, I think underrated player. I know he was an all-star for a few years, and he's certainly done well since retiring. But, getting a chance to play with him, I think he was very underrated. Size, skill, speed, quickness, could shoot back then. Like he was a great player. I really enjoyed playing with him. I like
Cal, it's great to meet you. This is AM in the studio in LA. Great to meet you. Thank you so much. We appreciate having you in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I got a question, and feel free to answer however you like. But it's been on my mind. I mean, all of us, obviously, with the gambling implications that have happened in the past couple of days. The memo that went out from the NBA, this is something, and please, again, feel free to answer any which way, but you're close to associations and retired players and current players and all of this. There's this notion in the NFL, protect the shield. There's now this notion in the NBA, protect the logo. This memo that went out, is this much more of the same of protect the league, but let's not do enough for the players? Because you read that memo or you read kind of the excerpts from some of it, you don't really hear a lot of how we're taking care of the players in this. Is there a miss here? Is there more to be done? What are your thoughts after such a big thing exploded the last couple of days?
Well, I think that's part of the problem. It's such a big thing, and it's this investigation from an FBI perspective has clearly been going on for years of data collecting and whatever. And so I think if you're the league and the players and a combination of both, like you really have to wait and see. You can't really dive in all in protecting the players or all in not protecting the players or protecting the league. Or you really have to do your best to continue forward with the season as it goes and highlight what's happening on the floor, and then kind of deal with these issues as they come up, because at the end of the day, you don't know kind of what's going to happen in terms of how is there really evidence, is there not? Are these allegations just trying to catch other people? There's a lot of different things here that you really just don't know. And so I think it's very difficult to take a stance if you're the players or the league in one way or the other. I mean, I really think you've got to be very, very careful, do your best to highlight the product on the floor, because sometimes saying too much can be just as damaging, or saying not enough. So you just got to be very careful. It's a very, very sad situation. It sucks, that the league is even going through this, that the players are going through this, and you hope at the end of it that they're come out on the other side and wish the best for the players and their families that are involved in it right now. And hopefully there's positive that comes out of it for them. But certainly the league can put it behind and continue with the great product that's on the floor and how exciting the games are to watch and continue to move the brand forward.
One more here on the X-Rated Sports Network. Our show is Beyond the Surface with Cal Bowdler, former NBA player, 3 years old with the Atlanta Hawks. I noticed when I was looking it up, Cal, you played 99 to 2000 Dynasty. Bang. Those three recently been named VP of the Board of Directors for the Atlanta chapter of the MBRPA, the Retired Players Association. And we got one more for you here, Cal, and we'll let you go. You and I have been at Hawks games together and hung out and all that kind of stuff. And so you and I are texting about the Hawks all the time. If you were in charge of the Atlanta Hawks, and I see the Hawk hoodie that you're wearing right now, would you max out Trey Young? Is maxing out Trey Young a no-brainer, or would you be playing the long game like the Hawks currently seem to be doing?
So here's the thing. When people ask me this kind of question a lot, and here's the problem that the Hawks have. They consistently finish 8, 9, 10 almost every year, regardless of roster. We don't, on paper, this looks like one of the better rosters they've had, but you don't know what you're going to get with the injury prone Porzingis and Jalen Johnson, who's early in his career showing some injury proneness as well. But here's the problem that they face from a business perspective. They finish 8, 9, 10 every year, but they sell out almost every game. People come to the games, they want to see Trey Young. So if you're looking at this from that angle, you're like, okay, well, where do I spend money? What do I do in order to try to put a better product on the floor or win games? But we're already selling out every game. What moves am I going to make that may make that worse? So then you have to do the analytics around the numbers in terms of pay and Trey. If you're gonna give him the super max, how does that affect the bottom line? And as he ages into that, is he the same dazzling player that he was last year, the year before, 2 or 3 years ago, that's going to command selling out the arena like he has as he continues to age? Because what we may see is a more mature Trey who's not as flashy and is still a great player and running the team, but may not be the same player that was putting butts in seats. So you got to calculate a lot of different things, especially from a business perspective, which I know sounds crazy coming from a player because everybody's all like win, do whatever it takes to win. Well, sometimes you got to look at it from a business perspective.
Cal, you the man. We really appreciate you joining us here on Beyond the Surface, the X-Rated Sports Network. It's good to see you, my friend. Good to hear your voice, and super happy about this gig. We'll be in touch with you. And, like I said, we would love to have some of these retired players on that want their voices heard, that want a platform, and would love just a 10-minute spot with a great network like we have right here. So, Cal, really appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day, and let's go Hawks, as they say in downtown ATL.
No question. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week.
All right, Cal, peace out. All right, we are the X-Rated Sports Network. Our show is Beyond the Surface. Dwight, you first. Let's piggyback off of this. Let's talk Trey Young. Actually, let me set this up for just a second because he talked about this recently. So where this is tracking is Trey Young is, unless he signs an extension later in the season, he will be a player option guy this summer. He'd most likely opt out. He'll be an unrestricted free agent. So he was asked by ESPN about not having control of his immediate future. He said, I think it's going to be great. I'm not worried about it. You know why? Because he knows he's a max player. He went on. He said, as much as I wish it was, it's not all in my hands and I can't control everything. I can just control the present. And I know if we win, everybody eats. I understand what winning can do. If certain things don't go my way as far as injuries, health, and stuff I can't control, that may be the man above telling me there's another plan for me. I'm focused on making sure all my guys, Quinn included, Quinn Snyder, the coach, get taken care of and succeed. Young also said he goes into every season thinking it's the most important for him, according to ESPN, but he admits this one feels special and definitely the biggest season for me. It's because he has $230 million on the line here, $49 million player option for next year, but he wants to prove, he's already proven it to me, but apparently not to the Hawks, but he is angling for a 4-year, $229 million max extension, okay, that he's currently eligible for. So that's what he wants. The Hawks don't want to give it to him. I'll give the first answer here, guys, and we'll go around the table. I think it's a no-brainer to max out Trey Young. Trey Young is tracking towards, statistically, top 10 point guard of all time. When you add in championships, MVPs, right, maybe top 15, okay? But he's tracking towards being one of the best point guards in the history of the NBA. That's factual. That's not subjective, okay? You max these guys out. You just do. You just do. John Morant, very unreliable on a max contract. LaMelo Ball, very unreliable on a max contract. Trey Young is extremely reliable and his team doesn't want to give him a max contract. That doesn't make sense to me. AM, I'm going to go to you first on this, and last point to make here. To me, trading Trey Young is a cop-out by the team. Your job as a front office is, guys, Trey Young's a number 2. He's not a number 1. He's a championship number 2 to me. He's a Robin, like Kyrie to LeBron, like Tony Parker to Tim Duncan. If he's the number 1, he's never going to win it all. Okay, you've got to bring in that number 1. Trey's the number 2. That's how it's going to work. The team has not been able to do that. They've swung and missed a whole bunch of times. So this is now a cop-out on blaming Trey for whatever reason and trading him, getting 60 cents on the dollar because you have failed as a team to build around him appropriately. So, AM, you first. If you were running the Hawks, would you max out Trey Young?
I would not. And I hear everything that you're saying, Rick, and a part of me certainly agrees with that. But there's a lot going on here, especially with Trey Young, especially with the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, let's start with this. First of all, there's so many contracts across all of sports, the NBA included, especially the NFL and the NBA, where you immediately regret the contract that was given. You see it all the time, and I think that they would immediately regret this contract and paying over $200 million for Young. When he came out of Oklahoma and he was who he was and the things that he was doing those first couple of years, and Cal mentioned it, he puts butts in the seat, the way he was shooting it basically from the logo and the assists that he was making and the excitement that he was bringing to the arena, haven't seen it in a couple of years. Certainly not this year. Through 4 games, let's just call it like it is, he's 20.7 points, 7 assists, and 2 rebounds. He's shooting 38.6 from the floor to start the season. He's a whopping 25% from 3, 7 assists per game. That's 14th in the league. He might previously have been trending towards this all-time player, this amazing guy. But I look at the rest of the roster, and obviously they got rid of DeAndre Hunter, and now they're trying to do all these different things. I'm not high on the Hawks, unfortunately. I mean, you want Reese Shea to be that good. This guy through 2 games has 0 assists and 2 rebounds, though he had a good plus-minus last night. I'm not sure what's going on with Alexander Walker or why he's such an integral part of this team right now. You look at the bench from last night's bowl games and the plus-minus. Everybody on the bench was a plus except Alexander Walker. He was a minus 13. The Hawks have bigger problems than Trey Young, and they know it, and that's why they haven't given the extension. I don't think it necessarily has to do all with Trey Young, but if I'm them, I blow it up and get what you can for this, because again, you passed over Luka to get Trey, or the way it was all facilitated and Trey Young entered on your team. Don't go into next year paying this guy $240 million. Certainly don't go through the rest of the year and not move him off of this. I mean, if you're a team that's hovering around 500 or less 30 games from now, you got to have a serious internal conversation about what you can get back from him, and you hope that he gets back to some of the numbers that he was putting up previously, so he's even more attractive to somebody else. I agree with you that there are other teams in the league that would max him out, and there's room for him to do so, and he probably fits better in a different place. But man, this didn't work when DeJounte Murray was there. It didn't work when DeAndre Hunter was there. At some point, you got to turn the finger around and say maybe, just maybe, Trey Young, whether he's Robin or not, is not going to get it done with anybody. I'd go in a different direction entirely.
Dr. X, are you maxing out Trey Young right now?
I would say yes. He kind of reminds me of a LaMelo Ball, but further along in his career. This guy is box office for these younger players, this younger generation. A lot of these players, they talk about Trey Young almost in the same breath that they talk about LaMelo Ball, just the handle, the shot. He's almost like a Steph Curry light. He could, he's dangerous all over the floor. Assist wise, he gets those numbers every year. He's not a great defender. It's probably body type, probably size, but I agree with you. He's a Robin. And if you could keep a player like that that's going to get butts in the seats, he doesn't seem to be that injury prone. Of course, everybody misses games, but he makes a lot of the games. He's been there for a lot of the big games when they eliminated the 76ers that year with a healthy Joel Embiid. Don't forget about that. When Ben Simmons turned down the shot because he didn't feel like he had his better option was to pass. We can't forget about that. So Kristaps Porzingis looks great on paper. Like, what if he was healthy? Don't forget that Kristaps Porzingis also won the championship with the Celtics, and he wasn't even healthy the whole time. So a player like him is great. Maybe if you get him on a better deal and you move some players around, Jalen Johnson is intriguing. those are some great pieces they have. They have a former number one pick in Zachary Ricochet. So I also love the best nickname in the game with the great barrier thief. I really feel like they have pieces in those players that they're pretty much a fringe team that could be give the Knicks some problems, can give a lot of teams, like the Cavaliers, some problems. Um, so I wouldn't put it all on Trey Young. I think they need to respect the fact that he could put butts in the seats and he is box office in terms of his talent, and maybe give him a player that's more of a sure thing, and I think we would be they'd be it'd be to their advantage to keep Trey Young on going forward.
Dwight, the scoreboard reads two of us are maxing out Trey Young, one of us is not. All right. So where are you at, man? I can't wait to hear.
I I don't really have a response. I will give how I think the Hawks, newly named general manager Ansi Sella, acted this offseason as the Hawks want to be an all-in team this season. I think Trey Young is on the clock. The reason why they haven't extended him is because he had a very much improved season last year in terms of his leadership. I think in terms of his leadership, I think it was the best year of his career. They want to see if Trey Young can do it again with what I consider to be the best roster he has had or has been assembled around him since he's become an Atlanta Hawk. So I think they are testing him. They want to see if he could lead this group when you acquire a Kristaps Porzingis, a Luke Kennard, a Nikhil Alexander-Walker. You have Jalen Johnson coming back from injury. Zachary Ricochet's second season in the NBA. Dyson Daniels, who was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year, wants to improve as an offensive player this season. I just think the roster has been put forth by Ansi Sala and the Hawks as an all-in move this season. They want to see if Trey Young will deserve the max contract. Do I think he is? I don't think he isn't, and I don't want to dig into anybody's pockets, but because he doesn't have the impact on the defensive end, he has to be extraordinary offensively to offset his deficiencies defensively. So you have to ask the Hawks this question, and based on their actions, they want Trey Young to prove to them that he deserves the max contract going forward. If you ask me, right now, 4 years, $230 million, that could be a buyer beware situation if you're the Hawks going forward because of his diminutive stature, because of his lack of defensive deficiency. Terrific offensive player, as you astutely noted at the top of this question, has top 10 Hall of Fame offensive numbers in terms of the point guard position. But has it been conducive to winning? Has it led to winning? Yes, they got to an Eastern Conference Finals several seasons ago. He's done the Knicks wrong in the past. I think if the Knicks and the Hawks were to play in a playoff series, all health withstanding here, to where everybody was healthy, I think the Hawks will give the Knicks a run for their money. But they're off to a disjointed start this season. Talking about the Hawks, I was bullish on them coming into the season because of their all-in mentality with the acquisitions that they made. I'm a Jalen Johnson's fan, but as Cal said in the previous segment, he's injury prone. Kristaps Porzingis is injury prone. But I think all things considered, if they're healthy, Trey Young has to lead this group, have some success in the playoffs before the Hawks truly make a decision on wanting to max out Trey Young. So that's my beat around the bush response. I think the proof is in the pudding. I think Trey Young has to prove to the Hawks that he deserves to be a max contract player.
That is Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, TSN correspondent. Above him, Dr. X, aka Dr. Phil McDonald, foremost radiologist in America. He also is the creator and founder of this network. And we have AM Pfeffer holding it down in our studios out in LA. Author, anchor, businessman, Renaissance man, and the list goes on and on. I'm Rick Kamla. So happy to have you guys and girls with us and joining us here on the X-Rated Sports Network. Doc, you and I talked yesterday in our production meeting about a rant, and I've got a brief one. I want to go first. And if AM and Dwight, you have anything you want to get off your chest, anything bugging you, anything agitating or irritating you, this is the spot. Let's unpack this. Doc, you go first.
Well, I picked the couch after that as my as my spot after the Knicks lost to the Miami Heat out of all teams, And I think my wife is my Knicks therapist. Man, I was texting back and forth, and we know it's early. We don't want to go that far in terms of just saying, oh, they should do this, they should do that. But one thing I'm disappointed about, and I have to give the Miami Heat a lot of credit about, is the bench. I don't think our Knicks bench is living up to the hype that we had for them. I know it's early; it's what, 3 games, but the Miami Heat did a really good job of picking up players that have a good motor, that score in bunches and in low minutes. Um, Fatecchio, I think that's how you say. I'm not sure if that's how you say his name, but I know he played very well in Detroit last year at spot minutes. They picked him
Fontecchio.
up.
Fontecchio.
Yeah, yes, and help me out with this other name. Is it Jovic, um, on the bench for the
Yep.
Miami Heat as well?
Yep.
Yep,
Nikola
and then
Jovic.
he's a great.
Yes.
Yep, and then as well as Tyler Hero is not even playing. Um, and they picked up a player in Norman Powell who has a great motor. That backcourt right there is going to give Philadelphia 76ers a run for their money. So I would say for me as a Knicks fan, I don't think the bench has it, and they're going to need to make some moves eventually. I know the system, everybody's adjusting. I like Kershawn Yabus in terms of his how he played last year in the Sixers, but I'm not sure if he fits this system. And I know they said, he's a little bit behind the learning curve, but he'll eventually get there. That's what Mike Brown said about him. I like his intangibles, but I'm just not sure if it's a fit. Jordan Clarkson is pretty erratic right now in terms of his shot selection. I was looking for him to be like having Jamal Crawford on the bench from the Clippers, versus the Jamal Crawford that we had at the Knicks as a starter who dropped 50 plus points. So I haven't seen that yet. It's almost like they're scared to play him. He's not the sixth man. He's like the eighth man off the rotation. He plays sometimes, the coach hesitated to put the starters back in. Uh, and then to his defense, Knicks fans shouldn't be that mad because we're saying we're not utilizing the bench. The one bench player I'm very happy about is Tyler Kolek, but I just feel like our bench hasn't lived up to all the hype, and it's kind of scary because I could teams right now that have a deeper bench in the East Coast, and that would be the Hawks, the I would say Orlando, but I don't think they look so good. But I would say the Sixers. And the a team that would be pretty dangerous would be the Bulls. There's teams that have a way better bench than us. So if all our starters don't bring it one night, you need the bench to come in and do something. So I'm a little discouraged about that, and I'm curious to see. We're not going to start talking Giannis yet on this network, but I was definitely in the text thread wondering what was haven't seen Mitchell Robinson play. We still haven't seen them at full strength yet. And Josh Hart came in a little late because of the injury. So I'm like, if the goal here is just to make the finals and just have a participation trophy, like, oh, we're glad to be in the room, we made it to the finals, and know you have stack up all the teams in the NBA, we're like eighth, right? And that might not even be accurate because of the way Miami's looking. And the way potentially the Philadelphia 76ers are looking with a healthy Joel Embiid. So with that said, I would rather, and I know Dwight, you're probably gonna get on me for this, but I'd rather pull the trigger if possible, Giannis right now, because with that roster, with two generational talents, in with the Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Jalen Brunson, you would still likely have the same odds to make it to the finals with your participation trophy in the finals, and then build off of that. But right now, so I'm just saying, if you're still going to get to the finals, regardless, with this team right here, and then with the finals with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and still not win it, I'd rather get him right now before someone else snags him. To AM's point earlier, the Chicago Bulls, or maybe the Lakers, and maybe someone like the Warriors. I would say just go in right now, because right now, if we're not might as well just get Giannis and see how that looks with Jalen Brunson and Giannis. Those guys I trust, and then eventually I'm sure we'll be able to get hopefully a Gary Trent Jr. or maybe even a Bobby Portis on the bench, because right now the bench we have is not doing it for me. That's my rant, and I'll.
Some technical difficulty. We sincerely apologize to our audience about this. About some of the. You guys hear me? Is my camera all right?
Coming in and out a little bit.
Coming in and out a little bit. AM and Dwight, do you guys have anything to get off your chest here? Are you agitated about anything, or is everything completely peaceful and birds chirping in your worlds?
No, excuse me, AM. I want to talk my cousin off the ledge here with the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be just fine. Don't worry about them. I know you've been wanting Giannis Antetokounmpo for the past 5 years. Will he end up in New York eventually? That remains to be seen, but the season just started. Mike Brown is a new head coach. The players are trying to get adjusted to him, and he's trying to get adjusted to them. He will figure out a rotation. The depth has been much improved in the offseason. It's up to the players now to figure this out and to be better with it. But my rant, Rick, and to the rest of the panel, the disrespect that is continuing to be shown towards Lakers perimeter player Austin Reeves. I think he's a spectacular player. As much as we want to talk about his defensive deficiencies, he is not a pylon. He'll at least compete on that end. But we have to acknowledge that having LeBron James and Luka Dončić on the roster, he still averaged 20 points per game last season. He is off to an amazing start, doing something that only two previous Lakers, Kobe Bryant and Jerry West, has done to start a season for the storied franchise that is the Los Angeles Lakers, scoring almost 150 points in his first 3 games. The leadership that he has shown over the course of the first week of the NBA season, with the injuries to LeBron James and to Luka Dončić. The players believe in him. After he scored the 51 points in the game against Sacramento on Sunday night, you saw the whole team rush to congratulate him. That's how much respect he has garnered and has earned during his tenure in the NBA. Yes, from a small town in Arkansas, undrafted, to do the things that he is doing is an incredible story in and of itself. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him and what he has done. He is a stud. He is a legit NBA player. And I just want to speak out, and I want to understand the context to what Stephen A. Smith said on First Take yesterday when he said to DeMar DeRozan and to Zach LaVine and the Sacramento Kings, how can you let Austin Reeves drop 51 on you guys? I'd like to know the context of what he meant by that. Is that because he doesn't think Austin Reeves is that good of a basketball player? Are there other circumstances that he's talking about? The stereotype, maybe? I don't know. But I think it's time for Austin Reeves to get the flowers that he deserves. The dude knows how to draw fouls. Drawing fouls, as far as I'm concerned, is a skill that a lot of players don't have, and I think, quite frankly, need to infuse and to learn and incorporate into their games. It's not his fault that he has the ability to create contact and basically force the referees to make what I believe are fouls. They are fouls, and he deserves every bit of the free throws that he gets in an NBA game. I just think the disrespect is there. He's a borderline all-star player as far as I'm concerned. He's in a contract season. Is he a trade asset right now for the Lakers? If you think that Luka and LeBron is enough going forward, that remains to be seen. But I think he's about to get paid. He's going to have a terrific season, barring injury, of course. But I just think it's time that we give and put forth the respect that Austin Reeves, the undrafted player from a small town in Arkansas, deserves all the flowers, deserves all the respect. I'm here to give it to him, and I think the rest of the NBA needs to, and the media needs to give it to him as well.
I'm buddies with Stephen A. Smith, but this was one of his worst takes. I don't agree with everything he says, but I respect the hustle. I respect the body of work. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't think anybody on earth agrees with everything he says, right? That's what his whole thing is about. He's barking up the wrong tree here at AM. I'm going to slide it over to you very quickly here. DeMar DeRozan's not a defensive player. Zach LaVine is not a defensive player. As a matter of fact, the Sacramento Kings have a grand total of one defensive player, and his name is Keon Ellis. They have one, okay? They're dreadful defensively every single year. So let's not take credit away from Reeves by dissing Sacramento, which is so easy to do. It's low-hanging fruit. Just grab an apple, take a bite. Anybody can do that. Just honor the dude, right? No Bron, no Luka. And Reeves shot up for a 51. And so I just don't like the way he kind of positioned that. And it's like, read the room, dude. Sacramento doesn't stop anybody ever. AM, you're up. If you have a rant, if everything is peaceful and birds chirping, just let us know.
Now, I got a little rant. I got a little something. I got a bone to pick with one team in particular, and that is the Detroit Pistons. The NBA is a lot better when Detroit is in the mix, when they're a top 8 team in the East. And right now they're 2-2, and I'm just a little disappointed. I'm calling them my 85% team right now. I feel like they're giving 85% effort across the board. Everybody on that team 1 through 8 has to step up. It can't all be pontooned because Janet Ivey, right before the end of because the season started, went down for a couple of months and he's just not available. Cade Cunningham, you've got to have a few more points a game, a couple more rebounds a game. Jalen Duren, you're not even averaging 10 rebounds a game. You should absolutely be a double-digit guy. Ausar Thompson, you're doing pretty well, and I know your brother Amen takes all, he sucks up the oxygen in the room when the two of you probably walk in, but a little bit more defensively out of you, all the way down to Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert, even Tobias Harris, who was doing pretty well last year for about half the season. I'm just not seeing it out of you guys. Night after night for the first 4 games, it's not there. This is a team that absolutely could be high 40s, even low 50s if they put it all together and keep it together before Jaden comes back. You're not doing it. I don't know what's going on in that building. I don't know what happens in the locker room. I don't know what's being discussed between you and the coach day in and day out, but another 15% out of all of you night in and night out. This is the National Basketball Association. You are the Detroit Pistons. We need you.
Love it. All right. So I'll go last here, guys. And this is a rant about a human being that I really respect and really admire in a lot of ways, but I got to call him out right now. Ravens coach John Harbaugh needs to be called out for insulting our intelligence, needs to be called out for this chicanery at the end of last week with the injury report. So Baltimore comes off a bye. They beat Chicago 30-16 without Lamar Jackson. This is miraculous stuff. Shout out to Tyler Huntley, who did a good job. John Harbaugh called the violation of the NFL's injury report policy an honest mistake. I disagree. The Ravens could be subject to discipline by the league because they originally listed Lamar Jackson as a full participant on Friday at the practice when he only ran the scout team. Come on, dude. Are you serious? Baltimore then changed Jackson's practice participation to limited on Saturday, while also ruling him out because of a right hamstring injury. The guy goes from a full practice, huge news in the NFL, to the next day they rule him out. Yes, this is a blatant NFL injury report violation. Harbaugh said, full quote, it really is an honest mistake. I can tell you this. Nobody's trying to hide anything. There's no advantage to be gained with that. Bullcrap, dude. You're gaslighting us with this. There's absolutely an advantage to be gained by this. 100%. Stop lying to us. Jackson had been listed as a limited participant for practices Wednesday and Thursday, upgraded to full on Friday, suggesting that he would play, right? You see that? I mean, you guys follow the NFL. I'm a huge fantasy football guy. Limited. All right, what are we doing here? What, full participant on Friday? Boom, put him in my lineup, right? The whole world's doing that, okay? After Friday's practice, Harbaugh said Jackson had a full practice, but didn't point out that Jackson received no snaps with the first team offense. Just forgot to mention that, okay? So Sunday comes. Harbaugh made it clear he was not involved in designating the practice participation levels for players, which is bullcrap. Of course he is. He's the coach, okay, and like half the GM, saying the decision was made by athletic trainers and the public relations staff. So he just threw his trainers and his PR staff under the bus, okay? What, dude? Harbaugh also said, I think in their defense, he practiced a full practice. I think they felt like because he did the same number of reps as he usually does, which probably isn't correct, it was a full practice. But when you dig in and you read the rule, at the end of the day, it wasn't right. So that is what it was. That's why as soon as we found out, we changed it. This is cheating, Coach Harbaugh. Again, I still love you. We can move on from this. I think you're a future Hall of Fame coach. I think you're one of the GOATs, one of the gangster coaches that we have in the NFL. I'll say this, guys, right now. If I owned an NFL team and somehow Baltimore fired John Harbaugh, I would make him the highest paid coach in the NFL. He'd be my guy, okay? So I like him, okay? But this is some Belichickian stuff right here, okay? You're 1-5 in desperation mode. You know that Lamar's not playing in the game, right? Coaches know before everybody. He knew that Lamar wasn't going to play in the game. So he wanted to get a little mind gaming going on with Chicago here because you're 1-5, you know, in essentially a death game, and they're still, you know, not in great shape here at 2-5. But if you go to 1-6, you're absolutely positively done. They're not done anymore, okay? So to me, this is born of desperation. It's cheating. We'll all move on, but they to me, they should get punished by the NFL for this.
Well, listen, Rick, that was the game the Ravens had to win going into their bye week because of if you look at their schedule, they have some very favorable matchups going forward, and they are getting the aforementioned Lamar Jackson back after the bye week. So were some mind games being played? Were the rules being circumvented by John Harbaugh? Listen, let's call it as it is. Don't insult our intelligence. We believe something was done here to sort of placate the advantage for them on Sunday again in the win they just had. So let's see how it plays out going forward. The Ravens, although they have their 2-5 record, are somehow still favored to win that division. That just shows you how much lack of faith or lack thereof, that Vegas has in the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals going forward. So again, I think as the Ravens get healthier, they will be definitely in the mix. Can they overcome their record? Right now, the Steelers are still going to play well. I know they've spent a lot of money on their defense, and they're not coming through right now. Aaron Rodgers is surprisingly playing well, simply based on the 2 previous seasons with the New York Jets. So let's see how this plays out. But John Harbaugh and the Ravens organization, this is kind of a difficult one to swallow in terms of his level of honesty. Something was done there to sort of gain a competitive advantage as they went into their games against the Bears this past Sunday.
Rick,
Okay.
Rick, it's definitely, yeah, I would say, Rick, it's definitely cheating. But here's a bigger question. Where was Tyler Huntley for the last couple of games when Lamar was out? Here's a guy who had done it for you previously. Why was Cooper Rush even the quarterback and couldn't get it done? Where's Huntley been? What happened there?
And also, it's a strange thing what was done because you can basically keep the same scheme with Tyler Huntley at quarterback rather than Cooper Rush. So I think, of course, if he can take those 2 previous weeks back, John Harbaugh probably will say, you know what, maybe we made the wrong decision here. Listen, I know Cooper Rush has success coming off the bench for the Cowboys over the last couple of seasons, was very successful in terms of his win-loss record, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the scheme was the same in Dallas as it is in Baltimore. And I think we saw that come to fruition this past Sunday. I'm sure that's something that Harbaugh and his staff are having regrets about right now.
You know what, guys, you know what I think it is? So the GM signs Cooper Rush, right? Harbaugh might not have wanted that, right? Because as you guys say, it's not a system fit. And so, really, you guys want Cooper Rush? You want a pocket passer when we run a sort of running quarterback system here? Yep, that's the way we're rocking. So I think he was trying to placate his GM for a couple of games and was like, dude, can I get my guy now? In case of emergency, break glass. Can we go get Tyler Huntley now? He's been good with us off our bench before behind Lamar. All right, I want to tee up Doc right here, and let's talk about the Cam Scatabo injury. Obviously, Dr. X, Dr. Knob, the foremost sports injury analysts that are around. Okay, you're in the right spot here. X-Rated Sports Network Beyond the Surface. That's where we go. Cam Scatabo, he was in the hospital, remained hospitalized, had surgery Sunday night to repair an open dislocation of his right ankle. It was a pretty gruesome injury, where the foot is kind of pointed the wrong way that it should and all that kind of stuff. Carted off the field. And just like a warrior, right? He's got his hand up and stuff like that. He's such a tough guy. And obviously Dr. X and the X-Rated Sports Network YouTube channel, as well as xratedsports.com and Instagram, wherever the platform you want to check us out. Give us a subscribe and give us a like. But Dr. X, talk to us about this, man. And what I want to know, and obviously, I'm not trying to, I'll just ask the question. Because this is where my head goes when I see an injury like this, and he's a running back in the NFL, right? They get churned and burned. They get chewed up and spit out. It sucks, but that's just kind of the job, right? Do you feel good that he's going to return to his pre-injury self, or Dr. X, do you have pause given the severity of this injury?
Well, first off, prayers up for Cam Scatabo. Is it Scatabo or Scataboo? I know the fans like to say boo because it allows them to do like the whole coop and deuce
Right.
and things like that.
Let's
But
go with
regardless,
boo. Let's go with what feels good,
yeah, I like it. I like it. Or I could be like Bo Jackson, Scatabo, right? But what I love about this kid is his heart. Just watching the video again, it even looked like he was trying to get up. Usually when you get an injury like that, you kind of stay down and you kind of wait and you're like crying and he literally was trying to get up the minute he got hit. And I'm not sure what he felt at that time, but he's the newest Knicks super fan. I saw him at the game opening night, and he was getting the crowd into it. So I hope to see him in the sidelines, but very soon later on down the year. But the problem with this injury is that it was potentially life threatening. When you say the word open with a fracture, that means that there's break in the skin. We know we couldn't see that part because of the that are in that area and could also bled out. There was a lot of things that could have happened with that injury right there. And so prayers up for him for that. In terms of him coming back, his age is the biggest factor. An injury like that, you're able to, because there's multiple ligaments, tendons involved, also the vessels and the nerves in that area. So I think he will come back due to the age factor alone. Um, will he be that, player like him that initiates contact? Will he have longevity in this league? That's depends on him how and the people that they have around him to protect him. But his mentality alone, I think he will be back, and his age alone, he will be back. So I'm looking for him to have impact on many snaps with the Giants, and that's really good for the Giants that I feel are kind of making their stride to be relevant again. And so this is such a big hit to the organization and to the fan base. But Prayers up to him. I'm sure he's doing a lot better, and I think he will be on the sidelines as one of the Knicks super fans later on in the season.
Dwight and AM, anything to add?
You know, I'm a Dallas Cowboy lifer, as everybody knows, but I've openly voiced my opinion in terms of Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo. I am on their bandwagons, and they made Giants football relevant this season. I'm not in the locker room. I don't live in New York, but I can feel the energy that those two permeated through their teammates and in the stadium and on the announcers got excited because of those two, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo. This is a gut wrenching blow to the Giants franchise. The significance of this injury. The only thing that I think will save Scatabo in this regard, to my cousin's point, Dr. Phil here, Dr. X, is that he is young and his work ethic. You could tell he probably wasn't had an underdog mentality since he was a kid, coming through high school, through college, and now being in the NFL. It's that bunker mentality. It's I want to be better. I want to prove people wrong. I want to prove the Giants right by them drafting me to be a National Football League player. So I think he will overcome it that way. He runs so damn hard. My concern is when he comes back, will he be as decisive? Will he have the same cutting ability? Will he want to attack a hole, or will he want to go out of bounds to preserve what is a gruesome injury that he sustained here? So we'll see. Football players have a different mentality. They have that gladiator mentality. They're borderline crazy to play at that level anyways because of the contact on every play. So he will come back. It just remains to be seen at what level of effectiveness he will still have post-injury.
That's my concern. I mean, he's a 4.65 combine 40 time. That's pretty horrible for a running back. I mean, you want to be in the 4.3s. That's the elite level. You want to be in the 4.4s. That's like got everybody's attention. If you slide to the 4.5s, questions arise. Okay. Think of a guy like Kyron Williams. He's with the Rams, stud. Not having a great year this year, but he overcame. He had a really terrible 40 time. And I'm frankly a little bit surprised he's had the success he's had in the NFL based on that. Cam Scatabo, huge body type at a 4.65, coming off of this devastating injury. I'm just going to say I have questions. And I'm out here rooting for him, prayers up to him. I hope he makes it back because I love his attitude. I love the charge he sent, not only through the Giants, but through the NFL. Like he became one of the dudes. I mean, he's got 7 touchdowns already. 7. He's one of the league leaders in touchdowns right now. So we wish him well, man. And let's move on here. And I want to talk a little bit more NFL with you guys. And Pfeffer, I want you to go first on this. We'll talk about some other NFL stuff Friday in advance of the weekend when we come back here on the X-Rated Sports Network. But let's talk, maybe this is our final topic here. More for real, the Patriots or the Colts? The Colts are 7-1. What? Shane Steichen didn't even see that, okay? The Patriots are 6-2. They got my guy, Mike Vrabel. Somehow, the Tennessee Titans were dumb enough to fire him, and Robert Kraft was like, give me that. Boom. Vrabel with the Patriots, where he won championships. They're 6-2. Daniel Jones, MVP candidate. Jonathan Taylor, MVP candidate. Drake May, MVP candidate. So, AM, you first. Who's more for real, Pats or Colts?
Well, I love this question, but I'm going to say this. They're both for real, just so we're clear about this, because a lot of people are waiting for the drop-off, obviously, with the Colts, or they're even waiting for the drop-off offensively with the Patriots, because it's like, hey, they don't really have a lot of receivers. The offensive line still has a long way to go, even though they've shored up a few of those positions. Who's more for real right now? I'm giving the slight edge to the Colts. This team is putting it on paper, at least in terms of the offensive output. Jonathan Taylor has had how many 3-touchdown games? He's really the MVP of the league right now. The rest of us are all debating which quarterback's finally going to slip in and win the damn thing. But if you're giving it to the right guy through half the season, it's him. Daniel Jones is playing at a great level, and Shane Steichen has proven himself to be a tremendous coach. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they were the laughing stock before the season started, putting Jones in at quarterback and moving away from Richardson. Now look at them, right? And all credit to Mike Vrabel. He's who you wanted to come into the organization to stabilize, to be the adult in the room, to turn everything around. And Drake May has been on a heater ever since that Bulls game, so he's as good as it gets, since he absolutely deserves to be in the MVP conversation as well. I'm giving the slight edge to the Colts.
Dr. X, Colts or Pats, who's more real to you right now? 6-1 and 7-1.
I would say the Colts. I mean, I would also have to look in the strength of schedule and who they beat, which win was like really I would say more of a bigger win. Like, are these teams that they're playing against, is it, bad defenses? Are these teams that are missing their superstars? I'm really excited that, teams like this are who no one was talking about are finally in the conversation. I think today in First Take, Stephen A had the Colts as number one, and I think he had the Pats as number three. And it's kind of good that the Patriots kind of move away from the whole Tom Brady era, and they really have something in Drake May, and I'm glad to see that.
Dwight, Colts or Pats, who's more real?
I'm going to piggyback off of AM's answer. I think both of them are for real, but I'm going to focus on the Colts. Listen, Drake May, Stephon Diggs, Mike Vrabel, they've got something cooking in New England. They're going to give Buffalo a run for their money in the very weak NFC East. But again, when we talk about Daniel Jones, all the Colts needed really was a competent quarterback because they've always had the talent. Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, has brought out the best in Daniel Jones. Can you imagine? Daniel Jones was acquired by the Colts. He was coming into this season as the potential backup to Anthony Richardson, who has been oft injured and just simply didn't perform to the level that we thought he was capable of performing, especially when you're drafted top 5 in the National Football League. But the reality is Daniel Jones not only has supplanted Anthony Richardson, now the Colts are talking about extending him in terms of his contract. So I think the Colts are in a better position right now to do some special things in the AFC, but you can't discredit what the Pats are doing. It's a great story. I don't know. Listen, I've heard this conversation. If you redo the draft, would Drake May be taken ahead of Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels? I don't think I would go that far, but the reality is Drake May is definitely doing right by the Patriots, drafting him where they did. I believe it was 3rd overall. He's a big stud at that position, who's very athletic, can only throw the football deep, but could definitely beat you with his legs as well. But right now, I think the Colts are the story in terms of the AFC getting off to the great start that they have, and Daniel Jones basically being a reclamation project and rejuvenating his career. And he's going to make some money if this continues the same way Sam Darnold did last season with the Vikings.
Ooh, that's a great comparison right there. My answer, guys, is the Pats. I liked what AM said. They're both for real. I agree there. Let's pick a team here. I got the Pats. And Doc, to your point, you look at Indianapolis. Who have they beaten? They've beaten the Tennessee Titans twice. And by the way, 38-14, 41-20. They beat the Chargers. That's a very good win. They beat the Cardinals. That's a soft win. They crushed the Raiders. That's a soft win. They crushed the Dolphins. That's a soft win. And they beat the Broncos 29-28. So as I would look at it here, they've got really 2 quality wins of the 7. They lost a close game to the Rams out there in LA. Obviously, the Rams are good this year, so there's nothing to be ashamed of there. But there's some very lackluster opponents so far. They're at the Steelers this week. That's obviously a tough matchup, and the Steelers are coming off the second half. They were terrible against Green Bay, absolutely terrible. So that they're going to be all fired up and motivated. And maybe Indianapolis is due for a little bit of a correction. I actually think the Steelers are going to beat them this week. But I'm not hating on the Colts, right? Love what they got going on. But I'm going to take the head coach and quarterback combo that to me is better. And I would rather have the combo of Mike Vrabel and Drake May than the combo of Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones. I appreciate, well, see, I watch a bunch of college football, right? So watching Drake May at North Carolina, I compared him to Aaron Rodgers. And not direct, not saying he's going to be a Mount Rushmore guy, but I see some Rodgers in him. He's able to throw off platform. He's able to hop the feet and quick throw where it doesn't have to just be all set in the mechanics. He can just fire from different angles, and he does not have to be on platform to make plays, which is huge in the NFL where they're always heating you up. Dwight, you mentioned it, big body guy, but he's sweet with his feet. And can make plays with his feet. So I think Drake May is at the forefront of the MVP conversation right now with a Jalen Hurts. Where's my list here? I want to kind of talk with you guys Friday about this, but as a little teaser, Mahomes with what he's doing, Mahomes stats are back, guys. Won last night. I know it's against Washington. Who cares? But they're 5-3. Mahomes numbers are very, very good. And so I'd like to have an MVP conversation with you guys on Friday. But Drake May, look, guys, I cannot believe it is as much as I like Drake May and love the pick by New England. And I predicted a very, very, very bright NFL future for this guy when he was in college. I still can't believe that we're in here right now, Drake May MVP, that belongs in the same sentence, or Daniel Jones MVP, that those words and acronyms belong in the same sentence. Okay, talk to Giants fans about Daniel Jones. They're like, we never saw this here. I mean, he had moments with New York, but not like this. Like, he's playing elegant football right now. But Drake May is a better ball player than Daniel Jones. He's not as experienced, but to me, he's a better ball player with more upside. And I'm a rock with Mike Vrabel over Shane Steichen, but it's very, very close. Guys, any final words before we say goodbye to the people? And we see them again on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Any final words, guys?
Pay attention to that New York Knicks Bucks matchup. Look at all the language that's not being spoken. No, he knows. He loves that.
Why are you laughing, Dwight? Why are you laughing?
But you know what? God bless my cousin, man. But he is so he so wants, he has a roster in his head, Rick, for the Knicks that he feels is plausible for a championship. That's why you hear him talking about all the best players on the Bucks. He wants Antetokounmpo. He wants Bobby Portis. He wants Gary Trent Jr. He wants the Bucks to be left with nothing, and he wants the Knicks to give the Bucks Tyler Kolek. Really, Tyler Kolek
and Hook Porty and Dottier and all these guys.
Hook Porty and whomever else. Yes.
No, I'll send them all now. I have a whole new rule set. As long as you get Giannis, Brunson on the same roster, I'd rather get to the finals with that at this point.
So you would trade Cat for Giannis right now? You would trade Cat for Giannis.
In the beginning of, if you ask Dwight, in the beginning of summer, I was like, that's a non-negotiable. He cannot leave. I said the untouchables in the summertime for me were Brunson and Cat, and everybody else is fair game to get Giannis. But now that I'm seeing it, I would love to keep Cat, and I'd love for Giannis to choose us eventually. But
you can't, Phil. You can't.
Well, Rick, are you asking the question straight up? Cat for Giannis? Is that your question?
Not straight up. Just to get him talking, right? Would he be willing?
Because what are we even talking about?
If you're the Bucks and I'm trading Giannis, I want Cat.
100%.
Wow.
I'm willing. That's what I'm trying to say.
And. Yeah.
I'm definitely willing to give him up at this point. Yes. And there's nothing that Cat did wrong. I just feel like Brunson and Giannis make a better team, two generational talents. I know we're going to bring it every night. Whether some of the supporting cast doesn't show up, those two will give you a chance every night. I just feel there's too many players in the Knicks that are borderline not going to show up. And then the bench seems to be very weak at this point. And you can't just have Brunson just dribbling the piss out the ball, 20 dribbles. I start to count his dribbles now. If he goes beyond like 7 dribbles, 8 dribbles, I already know something is off.
Hold on. Well, Phil, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm John Horst, I want Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, and 2 draft picks
Yeah.
for Antetokounmpo. That's
Yeah.
where I
You could take
start.
Mitchell Robinson too. You could take Mitchell Robinson too, because I feel like he's going
But
to be injured
dude,
when we need him.
okay,
We'll
so
get
who?
Bobby Portis for Mitchell Robinson
No,
and
you
Gary
won't.
Trent.
No,
Yes,
you
we
won't.
will. I would take that, and I'm keeping Tyler Kolek as my
I
backup
love
point
this.
guard.
Oh,
100%.
Rick, I got a parting words here. I got a little something to say. Let's put a little symmetry on the show. Bring it all back to the World Series tonight. It is Game 4. Ohtani is on the mound, and I just implore everybody watching to go back to October 17th. If you haven't seen the game, find the couple hours, fast forward as necessary, but make sure you put that on your radar and know where you were when it happened 5, 10, 50 years down the road.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know how the Blue Jays recover, man. I don't. Go. I would love to see the Blue Jays win tonight, and maybe we go Game 6, Game 7, that kind of thing. Like the Dodgers are showing up to the park today, tired as heck, but happy, relieved, right? They're not maybe excited. They're relieved. We won that game. Can you believe it? In Toronto, they're just as tired, but they had to take an L. They went to sleep off an L last night. I'm an underdog guy, right? I'm a Minnesotan, and so like I don't really care who wins. I don't. I would just like to see a long series. I'll be rooting for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight, understanding it's futile because they got that guy. They got Babe Ruth 2.0 on the mound out here for the Dodgers. But I forget who said it earlier in the show. Whoever wins this game tonight, I believe, like if LA wins, that was Doc. It's a wrap. I am not willing to say if the Blue Jays win tonight, they win the series, right? I just think they stay alive. But if you go down 3-1, you've got that dynastic squad over there. That's going to be tough, dude. This is a must-win to me for the Blue Jays tonight.
Don't let Ohtani pitch well tonight. I will quadruple down on my best player ever. If he throws 6 innings and gets 6 to 8 strikeouts and gives up 1 run, this is I don't know what kind of status. I already have him as the greatest baseball. Hey, listen, I'm old enough. I've seen the greats play. All right, I've seen them play, and I don't jump to this conclusion lightly. Anybody who's elite at hitting, pitching, and running the bases, you got me. I haven't seen it. Nobody else has done it. Barry Bonds can't pitch. Who else? Doc Gooden was a decent hitter. Babe Ruth, let's just call it as it is. He didn't play against all the best players. All right? The league was segregated. So, I don't know. Shohei, for me, if he pitches well tonight, man, it's a wrap.
Give him GOAT status, man. All right, so guys and girls, we love you. Thank you so much for watching the X-Rated Sports Network. Our show is Beyond the Surface. For A.M. Pfeffer, for Dr. X, for Dwight Walton, for Kai, our engineer, for Jason, our producer, I'm Rick Kamla. Guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel, the X-Rated Sports Network on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate that. We will see you on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with another episode of Beyond the Surface. Have a good couple of days, and we'll see you then.